Michael. Michael, it is 2020. We are in the roaring 20s.
Yeah.
They have begun. I got my flapper skirt. I've got my, what else is in the 20s? My speakeasy. Prohibition,
or Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah, I don't know anything about history, but that would only matter if it was the 1920s. It's the 2020s.
He was the president, by the way.
It's the first podcast. There you go. Now you know something.
Now you know about Calvin Coolidge
of 2020. Here on Rage Light. I'm Jeff,
and I'm Mike.
And we. Okay, so before we start, just briefly, at some point this month, we are going to do Best of 2019.
Yes.
I have like 2 more games I have to finish because I just want to finish them.
Okay.
Whether it happens next week or the week after, I want to make sure that both Michael and John are able to get in here so that we can all. Because I mean, you know, you guys
have a
are
lot of games,
the only guys that really like play a lot of games. You know,
we all know Knack 2 is the winner. Everyone knows. It's always Knack and Knack 2.
Was Knack 2 even in 2019?
Fuck no.
Oh, okay.
That's like what, 3 years ago? 3 years ago. The winner is Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't listen to Michael, everybody. Just don't do it. Don't do it. It's no good. But yeah, I'm back. We're back, and
yes.
I went on vacation. I came back from vacation. I didn't spend a lot of times on vacation playing video games because I was, I had to carve out all that time to watch Rise of Skywalker 4 or 5 times.
God.
So that I could talk about it on the spoiler cast.
I didn't get a chance to listen to that spoiler cast because I was just like, I'm tired of listening to anything about Star Wars right now.
Yeah, anybody who's tired of listening to anything about Star Wars, I can understand that.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
I spent like 3 days talking to people about it, and I'm just like, I'm good. I'm done.
It was murder for me because none of my contentious nerds were around when I was visiting my parents. I kept trying to complain to like my dad and my sister and my mom, and my sister was just like, yeah, that was garbage, and my mom and my dad were just kind of like,
you don't understand.
But what about nitpicky nit? And they're like, whatever. We go to the movies.
Part where Jar Jar comes back, I had to tell somebody.
Oh no. Yeah. But there's been a lot going on. Like The Witcher was out.
There's been quite a bit of nerdy stuff since you've gone on vacation, quote unquote. Or since the last, I guess, race like stuff.
Why is my vacation in quotes, Michael?
Well, it's because the time frame isn't. The time frame between like podcast and podcast wasn't your actual vacation.
Well, that's true.
Is what I'm talking about.
That's true.
So,
Witcher was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen in the world, but it was on Netflix. It was free. I'd watch another season of that if it came out. Did you watch it?
I didn't. Everyone I know has the most mixed. I only hear one of 2 things. One is they hate it with a passion,
right?
Or 2, they love it with a passion.
Yeah,
and you're the first person that's been like. Middle.
It's pretty good. Like, there's a lot of points. The thing is that I don't have a dog in the Witcher fight, I think is the
I don't either is the thing.
Or I have no, that's not true. I have like a mixed breed puppy in the Witcher fight.
Because I never played any of them.
I played a little. I kept trying to play 3, but it's just so goddamn long.
I also never read any of the books.
And I haven't read any of the books either. I was looking at our Discord server, and a lot of the people I feel like that had problems with it were people that had read the books, because this is more the books than it is Witcher 3.
And I've heard vice versa, though, is the thing. That's the thing about Witcher. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know. The barometer is ridiculous on it.
I don't know. The main problem that I had was that every so often I feel like whoever was writing it, they stopped flexing their like medieval dialogue muscle in their brain, and so people would just be like, "That's whack, yo," and then like, "Shall we sally forth to destroy this monster, dog?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" Obviously I'm joking. It's not that bad, but there were points where it just felt like they were saying like they stopped talking in kind of medievalese. And, other than that, I mean, like it was fine. The thing is that I have a low bar for Netflix because you can stop watching anytime and it's fine. Like, is it as good as Watchmen? I wouldn't know because I didn't watch The Watchmen.
Oh, that's right.
Who watches The Watchmen? Not Jeff. That's the answer.
It's good. It's real good.
I'm going to get around to it at some point. My Hero Academia is just fucking incredible and wonderful and glorious. And if you're not watching it, I don't know what the fuck your problem is. Stop arguing about Star Wars and start watching My Hero Academia.
I'm so excited for this Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's what I've been waiting for so long since I've read that part of the Vega. Mm-hmm. And I've been holding it onto myself for so long.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, Michael has been so good because I can see it's like you know when Neo jumps into Agent Smith and all those like cracks appear and the lights coming out? It's like I can see Michael wants to tell me the things that happened in the manga, but you've managed to just hold it in.
I mean, that's the worst thing is I've no one to talk to about it.
Yeah,
like the manga stuff. Mm-hmm. No one I know has read anything up to that point. Not a single soul.
I ain't gonna. Knives Out was great. I really like Knives Out. Yeah. I saw a few other things, but you know what? If we sit here talking about tell me one thing that you saw kind of over the Christmas break that you feel was just like, or played or whatever, just like a thumbs up recommendation of like, here's an awesome thing that I did in December.
Well, I finally played all the way through Mario Odyssey.
Oh, okay.
Like the main story of Mario Odyssey, because I had never had a chance really to.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it on Black Friday, and there was a bunch of games that I wanted to finish prior to that point.
Yeah.
And so I did finally, because I finished Control, and so finally I was like, I'm going to sit down and play Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And I became obsessed with that game.
It's delightful.
It is the best Mario game I probably have ever played.
Yeah.
Like, minus a couple motion control stuff. But,
yeah.
Oh my God. I was playing it nonstop and just putting on all these different outfits and shit. I'm like, I'm going to be a doctor today. I just put on the Dr. Mario outfit because I have the amiibo, so
yep.
I was able to unlock it right away. Or just look like Indiana Jones kind of thing.
I listened to that Pauline song on repeat.
Oh my God,
man. It's
just
amazing.
So good. and then there was another song that she sings. I didn't even know she had another song. And
yeah,
and I was like, oh, this game is amazing.
Yeah,
and the most delightful fucking thing ever.
It is. It is.
And I got a Luigi outfit because of the Luigi amiibo. And if you talk to Luigi wearing it, he's like, it's another me. It's just adorable.
Damn you, Luigi.
It's the most adorable thing ever.
Okay.
I adore it.
Well, enough of the past. Kill the past. We're in the future. We're living in the future. And yeah, so before we jump into the news, of which it's honestly, folks, it's going to be like 50% Pokemon this week, and I don't have a lot to say about Pokemon.
The other half is Barbara Walters, because it's 2020.
But we got a new trailer for the new Mutants.
Oh boy!
And now that I don't know if you heard this, Michael, but I mean, I'm not talking out of school because this shit was on Twitter, but like. Scott Derrickson is no longer writing Doctor Strange.
Well, he's
2.
no longer directing it.
Or directing it.
He's no longer directing.
He's like an executive producer now because, and there's a lot of like questions about that Marvel doesn't want to make a horror movie out of one of the that they don't want to let them push Doctor Strange into like a literal horror movie as opposed to just like some spooky elements, because I guess if you push it as an actual horror movie, then it's like, what is it rated R, or is it like a toothless PG horror movie?
That's the tough thing about it, and especially with the way the MCU is, they're like, because Scott Derrickson was very adamant that he wanted to make an actual horror thing out of it.
Yeah,
him and Cargo for a bit, and then Cargo, I guess, wasn't actually. They didn't want him to make the movie for reasons we don't really know. Disney was very hush hush about a lot of things.
Yeah,
and even Scott Derrickson leaving is all due to creative differences.
Right,
as you say.
I'm like, there wasn't a part in Doctor Strange 1 where a bunch of spikes in a horror universe impaled Doctor Strange and he died from
over
it
and over again,
over and over and over again in a bunch of horrible ways. Like, anyway, so Marvel might be too much of a coward to make a horror movie out of their characters, but apparently, who is this? Fox?
Yeah,
20th
this was
Century Fox?
Fox's final Mutants thing they were doing.
Okay,
This was supposed to be out ages ago.
Yeah, and then I feel like they just got weird cold feet about like, wait, what? What movie did we make?
I don't even know. Like, yeah, there were already screenings for this for people a year or two ago.
Were there?
Well, because they'll show it to like focus groups kind of thing.
Oh,
to be like, oh, what do you guys think of it? And a lot of them were like, yeah, I really liked it. And then they were just like, well, let's just not release it, I guess. It's like, what's happening? I don't understand.
Which, I mean, this trailer to me seems. I don't know. You were saying it says more than the last trailer.
Well, all the other trailers were super cryptic.
Oh, okay.
Like every single one of them was all just like, well, what's going on in this place? And I don't know. We're mutants, but they would never show them doing anything mutant-like.
Yeah,
it was always just like, you guys are mutants, and there's something horrible in this place. And so we had no idea what the actual plot of this movie was ever, because every one was cryptic as hell. This one's actually telling you a plot. maybe a bad guy thing, some of their power stuff, some of the backstory of some of these people. Like, there's actual plot in this trailer.
Yeah.
Which caught me off guard.
It's like instead of Xavier's School for Mutants, it's like, I don't know, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest run by Jigsaw or something like
Apparently,
that.
That was the thing, is we didn't know what it was about for so long.
I have a question, Michael. You know things about comic books. What is her name Magic?
Magica?
Magic?
Or no, it's just Magic. It's
Magic.
Magica.
What is her quote unquote mutant power? Because she's always been just like magic.
Well, yeah. Long story short, like this is what I know comic book wise, because I looked this up years ago, because apparently she was Colossus's sister.
Yes.
Who was kidnapped
by a demon.
I think it was Blackheart or Mephisto or somebody.
Yeah.
And she was given like powers.
It's sort of like the big sword is like magic.
And she was like aged like almost 10 years or something by it.
So then like her mutant power was like portals, but then the sword was like magic.
Yeah.
And then she could also do magic.
She became this magic sorcerer mutant thing.
Okay.
And that's really mostly all I know about her.
Okay. Which I mean, it kind of sucks because like everybody else in these New Mutants, all the rest of the New Mutants powers are like, you can describe them.
Yeah,
you know?
No, absolutely.
Like Cannonball, his crotch turns into explosions, and
Cannonball.
Wolfsbane, she's a werewolf. She's a werewolf mutant.
Yeah.
Sunspot turns into a Sunspot man.
I think. I don't know enough about the New Mutants.
He manipulates solar energy, and then it's like, and then Magic, she's like, I don't know.
Demon portal lady.
Some kind of question.
I don't know. Question mark.
In any case, you know what? All I'm going to say is that I've actually really liked. I like one of the things that has started to make me less excited about the Marvel movies going forward is that it seems like Marvel has like. Starting probably around like when Edgar Wright left Ant-Man, I feel like the Marvel movies have started to all feel increasingly similar.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's the criticism that it gets the most. That I can't argue with all that much because it's very true. Like even the first Doctor Strange is very much like it's still a hero's journey, but there's so much of it that feels just like Iron Man 1 because of the same beats, and that formula seems to happen in a lot of their origin movies kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like even Ant-Man feels like some of it's a little samey with it too.
Yeah. I don't know. So all that is a roundabout way to say that I like the idea of superhero movies being not necessarily a genre, but like I wanted them to be able to make superhero movies of different genres.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I want there to be more of a I gotta be interested in seeing just like a straight up comedy where like maybe there's some fights, but they aren't like these spectacular boss fights like we've been doing. Shazam was a little bit like that.
It was very close,
pretty
very
funny,
similar. And that's the thing I will always give DC credit for is that they're willing to just do whatever.
Well, they failed so hard at their attempt to make an Avengers that,
so like because Joker is like this crime story kind of thing. And like
it's a drama.
Genre. Yeah, it's
a
drama.
straight up drama.
And Shazam is very close to comedy. The stuff that they're saying about what is it, Suicide Squad 2 might be this kind of comedy-ish thing.
And then I guess I didn't even look at it. I think there was a new Birds of Prey.
Yeah, there's a new Harlequin trailer that's very much a girl power kind of story, which I'm very on board for. My only issue I have with a new Harley Quinn though is that there's a Harley Quinn show going on that right now that has a very similar plot about her breaking up with the Joker and dealing with it. That's 100 times better than anything in that trailer. That I'm just like, I have a really hard time being excited for that movie in any way, kind of thing.
But I don't know. I'll probably give this a shot. I mean, you know what? The New Mutants is the type of movie where I will look at the critic scores and kind of just see what they say.
That's fair. I might do the same thing, to be honest.
Because when it comes to mutant movies, man, I watched Dark Phoenix. I watched Apocalypse. I've watched them all.
Oh boy.
I mean,
I never saw them, to be honest.
I even think that Deadpool 2 was a little,
okay.
It was okay, but Deadpool 1's a fucking masterpiece.
That's a breath of fresh air.
And Deadpool 2 is like, it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, well, let's stop talking about imaginary superheroes and start talking about imaginary monsters. Nintendo had a full 20-minute Nintendo Direct, and it was basically boiled down to two announcements, Michael.
Yeah.
The announcements were Pokemon Sword and Shield is getting a season pass, an expansion. Two new areas. I forget exactly what they're called, but it's like Shield Island and the Sword Farmer. I don't know. There's going to be two new regions that come, and they're going to have new Pokemon, and they're going to have new adventures and new things for everybody to do, and new.
Yeah.
The other announcement was that Pokemon Mystery Rescue Dungeon is going to have a remake on the Switch, and there's a demo out right now.
Well, that's
and actually, right before we started recording, Amanda and I just played the demo for it.
Oh, that's cool.
That is, I don't know how much you have dealt with this over the years. I feel like there have been a number of different Pokemon games where it's just like, there's a lot of Japanese games. I feel like there's a lot of the sexy games that fall into this category where this is just like, that game is straight up Rogue, like original Rogue, but with Pokemon in a dungeon. So it's like a randomly generated dungeon, very simple, top down. You move when you move, the enemies move. Everybody moves one thing at a time.
Is that with how they play? Because they've made quite a few of those for some time.
Yeah,
and because I think they started on the DS kind of thing.
Yeah.
I never play them because you actually play as the Pokemon themselves.
Yes.
Kind of
well,
thing.
actually, I was saying I think it's kind of like an isekai because the main character in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is you, the person who has been transformed into a Pokemon.
I never even realized
and
that.
is in the Pokemon world, and I'm just like, okay,
I'm cool with this.
Does that make it better? I don't know.
Question mark.
So yeah, then there's going to be a bunch more. There's like two new trainers that are coming in with new Pokemon that you're going to get. Apparently, they've got a new evolution, and you can Gigantamax the starter Pokemon from Sword and Shield. There's a bunch of new outfits. There's a bunch of new of the raid dungeons that you can jump into.
Oh, okay.
So yes, all of this has been met with a mixed reaction. I feel like the people that liked Pokemon are like, cool, more Pokemon. I live in the world. $60 plus a $30 season pass? Of course, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But then apparently, I didn't really know this, but apparently some of the Pokemon games had like spin-off games. There were like another full $60 entry that was like part of the last game plus some expansion to it.
Oh, I think they did that with with Sun and Moon, because there's Sun and Moon, and then there's like, I want to say it was DX or something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but it was they made a different version of Sun and Moon that was there. It is Ultra Sun and
like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Platinum, Pokemon Platinum versions. So they're saying that that this expansion pass is essentially that. It would be the equivalent of when they kind of made the. Are these? I mean, I don't really know a lot about these, but these are kind of like the.
Well, one of them was definitely just supposed to be like an outright sequel, which was Black and White 2. Whereas Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, that's pretty much how that was sold.
Were they like
was an expansion,
like the international version of Final Fantasy when they put that out, where they just like add a bunch of new content in and then like tweak what's left?
Well, I don't know. With Ultra Sun and Moon, I think that's how it was.
Okay.
With Black and White 2, I think it was actually supposed to be like on a whole other story.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Because I remember I talked to people when Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out. They're like, well, I hear it's just kind of the same game with some other stuff in it.
Yeah.
And so people were like, well, if you already have Moon and Sun and Moon, it doesn't really matter all that much.
Okay.
Unless you really want those other Pokemon kind of thing.
But then, so the rationale from Nintendo has been, rather than selling you a whole other game, we're basically just going to expand this game. Now, this is obviously not going over well with the people who felt like Nintendo reduced the number of Pokemon in order to. It's this argument, right?
Yeah, no,
you
absolutely.
took content out of the game so you could sell it back to me later and at a higher price.
And it's a weird argument to have, really, when it comes to this one. But I understand why the argument's made, because it wasn't like the way, say, like Street Fighter is, kind of thing,
right?
Where it's like certain characters that you really wanted, like it's like if Ryu, Ken, and Ryu and Ken and Chun-Li just weren't in it, kind of thing, with these very important to the series kind of things. Because that was the thing with the Blastoise, the Charizard, or not the Charizard, the Blastoise and the Venusaur was being or not being in the the first release, is that people were wondering why aren't they in here, but all of a sudden they're in the DLC thing, kind of thing. Like it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because they were what people consider vital character Pokemon, that weren't in the original release. Only now you want them to pay for it, kind of thing,
right? And
that's really where the argument comes from.
Yeah. And if it
was only new Pokemon, then sure, kind of thing. People would probably be fine, to be honest.
Yeah. It's weird because I have nothing. I have no skin in this game at all.
I haven't had any skin in this game for a long time.
Yeah.
Only because Pokemon. Like I get the love for Pokemon, but I stopped. Like one day I was just like, I don't really care anymore. Like just one day I was just like, Pikachu's cool and all, and same with Blastoise, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy Pokemon anymore. It's like I just don't. Like the last time I did that was the Heart Gold. That was the first one I bought in like ages, kind of thing. And I think I got Y. No, I got X, and that was the last one I ever played. But like I get the argument because as a fighting game fan, it happens to fighting games all the time. Which is like there's characters that you're like, well, why wasn't this guy like Tekken 7, for instance? It's like why wasn't Lei Wulong part of the original release because he's one of my favorites.
Right.
He's part of the DLC.
Right.
And I feel jilted because of it, kind of thing. So it's the exact same thing with these guys.
Which, it brings me to when I was thinking about this, when I read this story and then I read a lot of the criticism about it, and it was just like, I think the thought that went into my brain was like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course they took the Pokemon you wanted out of the game and they're going to sell them back to you later. You're lucky they aren't selling them for $5 a piece on an in-game store. Like, I'm sorry, what world have you Pokemon fans been living in? Now, like, let me say, this is not to endorse this behavior.
No.
I think it's crappy, but it's been happening to, most games.
Well, the issue,
a lot of games.
The issue
recently.
Is that people in this world they don't pay that much attention, I guess, to the outside.
Right,
part
exactly.
Like that's why they brought it up in the video. To be like, look, we did it before, and you guys said jack shit, kind of thing. So shut your fucking mouths. This might as well be what they're saying there, kind of thing. Because they're just like, look, we've done it. Just like you guys said nothing. So we're gonna do it again, but not as bad. Because they're saying, hey, we did the Super Street Fighter thing. Like we're not. Well, let's do the other thing where we just make it an expansion instead.
Right. And which the thing is that I think it again. Okay, I think it is naive to expect Nintendo to be like the one company with the morality not to do this, because we have already had a whole season of Smash Brothers expansion, and another one on the way. I think,
or there was already Legend of Zelda.
Legend
DLC.
of Zelda had a whole bunch of actual story DLC that fleshed it out. I don't think Odyssey had. They had some free stuff, but Nintendo is not like they're in this game with everybody else.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If they could squeeze out a little bit extra, so the unfortunate thing is, like, if you are a Pokemon fan, you don't have any choice.
No,
you'd be like, well, fuck this. I'm going to go play the Yu-Gi-Oh games that 2K is putting out. They're sticking to their guns. Actually, haven't there been a bunch of no? Has there been one of those?
What?
There was like not Yu-Gi-Oh.
What's
the Digimon?
One. Oh yeah.
There were some pretty well reviewed Digimon games, I think, on like the PlayStation 4. But
actually no, you're right. But the thing is, like, Fire Emblem's already been doing shit like this for ages.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Like there's the which with the 3DS ones, the ones that were in basically two parts. It's like the light side and the dark side.
Oh yeah.
And then if you want the actual ending or the actual like middle ground ending, you have to beat one of these and then pay like $30-$40 for the middle part, kind of thing. And no one said shit about it.
yeah. I mean, a lot of this is just I feel like a lot of this is just Pokemon catching up with the same crappy business practices that the rest of us are just like, well, yeah, I'm used to this.
Well, it makes sense now,
I'm just
because
used to it. Before
this, it was all handheld,
right?
So it's cheaper to make. It's cheaper to for development cycles, kind of thing. Like it was all. Every budget was more minimal, and everyone's like, well, we want a console one. And it's like, well, congratulations. Here's your console one, and here's all the issues that come with a console release, kind of thing.
Yep.
Go nuts.
So, yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, I want to say that if you are mad about Pokemon, hey, man, I get it. The only reason that I can't drum up any real big like feelings about this is because, one, I don't care about Pokemon, and two, I already seen this shit before. Like Michael said, welcome to the fighting game community 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's that meme where that they got from that Coen Brothers where he's about to get hanged and the guy's scared. He's like, first time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just that.
Yeah,
first time, guys.
Yep.
So welcome.
And unfortunately, I mean, based on the sales figures and how much money they'll make, I mean, you're going to have Pokemon as a game franchise tank for like a decade and a half before. Somebody also pointed out, I saw somebody on Twitter pointing out, do you know what the microtransactions in that Mario Kart phone game are like? Like, they're bad.
It's ridiculous.
They're bad. So
Pokemon would have to literally not sell copies next time for them to not do something like that.
Yeah, which I mean, it would have to take such a hit, such a huge hit.
It'd be ridiculous. A really big hit. And it's never going to happen because you Pokemon fans are rabid.
Well, and what they're doing with this one is not as egregious. Like, if this game had loot boxes that you could buy that had Pokemon in them, and so to get Pikachu, you had to either earn in-game by grinding or buy with real money loot boxes, and every time you opened one, you were trying to get the Pikachu, right? Like,
they would totally do that too.
I can see
you guys think they want to do that, but they'll totally do that. They're going to come out with that surfing fucking Pikachu again, and that you're going to have to get into a goddamn loot box or some shit. But you're going to get Pikachu who just sort of stares at you blankly for like over and over again until you maybe get that surfing one.
Because I mean, isn't the Pokemon? Doesn't it have a thing in the real world of cards? Like
there's Pokemon cards.
Like you're buying packs of cards to try to get the ones that you want.
Yeah, and all you get are the fucking energy cards. Like it's 90% energy cards, and maybe you'll get another goddamn Jigglypuff, I guess.
Yep.
Because fuck you.
All you get is that. What's that one that all I can do is guard?
Oh, the Metapod?
Yeah.
It's
all Metapods.
It's all about Metapods and fucking, oh my god, Drill Bee pods or whatever.
Again,
the names of them.
And now we're moving on. But like, again, I get it. I get what you're mad about. But
we've been on that island for a long time, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You left Fantasy Island and you came to Lost. Good luck with that.
Also, I mean, well, never mind. No, we gotta move on. We gotta go from the Titanic juggernaut that is Pokemon to the Titanic juggernaut that is Final Fantasy VII. Hey, Michael, Final Fantasy VII is going to have a demo.
Neat.
And people with hacked PS4s have already downloaded it, played it, streamed it, put it on the internet, and put out all the details of what's in the demo.
Double neat.
Yeah. Apparently somehow a few people were able to get access to the actual PlayStation Store in like the unpublished demo.
That's so weird.
They were able to download it, and then like they put it on. Apparently it's like a 20 to 30 minute demo. I think it's probably the one that they were showing everybody at E3 or at the Tokyo Game Show of the beginning where they're fighting the big
just the robots,
the robot guy. Yeah. And then it was so weird to me was this came on my radar because I saw it on Twitter. It's just like, you guys got to watch out, man. There are spoilers for Final Fantasy VII out because some jackass has played the demo and put screenshots of things that happened in Final Fantasy VII. And I was like,
what year is it?
Where am I? Did I walk into a TARDIS or something?
I thought it was 2020. What the fuck? Am I in 98? What the hell happened?
Yeah. So
96 or whatever came out.
I somebody wrote in one time, giving me shit for talking about the plot of Final Fantasy VII in detail and how this was like a spoiler. And like, I mean, it's there, right? Like, if you've never played it and you want to play it, but like, it's in the public domain.
Everybody has known the ending to Final Fantasy VII for 20 years now. Everyone knows who died in Final Fantasy VII.
I don't feel like a lot of people actually I had forgotten what happens at the end of Final Fantasy VII up until I listened to a podcast recapping it a few 6 months ago.
Well, see, that's forgetting is different to me though, because like I'm saying, the world itself knows essentially. Yeah. Like it's not like the entire world forgot Final Fantasy VII was the thing.
Right.
It's not like Final Fantasy X-2 kind of thing.
Oh, X-2. Oh, you.
Exactly.
I say I'm mad because I feel like everybody forgot that Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13 Part 3 exists.
And they did.
And that's one of the best games in or I like that game a lot.
I have no arguments because I don't have a dog in that fight.
Real strange. In any case, we still don't have any information about when this Final Fantasy VII demo will come out. And apparently, if you want to, though, you can go watch it all online. My feelings remain until I put my hands on it. My feelings remain what they were before. About I'm going to reserve my judgment, and then maybe it'll win me over, and that's fine.
I'll see how it goes. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, speaking of PlayStations, we got some blurry pictures on Twitter of the PlayStation 5 controller, Michael. Look at it. Look how different it is from the PlayStation 4 controller.
Yeah.
It's got like one button that's different. I don't know why
there's a little gap there, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's the dev kit that everybody.
Yeah, there's really this one picture. I don't know. This is an interesting question. I feel like over time, like the Xbox controller has changed pretty dramatically.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, Nintendo's controllers have changed pretty dramatically, and like my DualShock 4 and a original PlayStation 1 controller are not that dissimilar.
No, I think the only main difference in the middle of it is the 6-axis.
Yeah,
that didn't have the DualShock in it.
I mean, obviously the first gen added the analog sticks on.
That was the first change.
And then at some point, it was the PlayStation 4, where they finally rounded off the edges at the bottom of the horns so that they weren't like kind of pointy.
Oh, and they were like square kind of thing?
Yeah, they were a little pointier before.
Well, PS2 had some a little more rounder.
They slowly rounded, and then they finally kind of became just like actual bumps. Yeah, I don't really know that I have a lot to say about this outside of.
I don't know. That might not even be the final one kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, what would you think? What would you put on an actual next gen controller if you were making one? Like, what do you think an actual next gen controller? I've seen some mock-ups of like put a screen on it, and I'm like, no.
And honestly, no. I honestly would just do the PlayStation controller without the damn light on it. That's pretty much what I would do.
That's kind of what they're doing. And like maybe putting I've wondered about canonizing the buttons on the back where your fingers are.
Oh yeah, because what the hell they're called, the Elite Xbox controllers have those.
And then PlayStation's putting out a thing in February that actually plugs into the USB port on the bottom that adds two buttons to the back. It's just I feel like when you watch the evolution of controllers, I don't know if we can. I don't know how many more buttons my hand can handle. Like
after playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't really think we need that many more controls, kind of thing.
But how are you going to play Elite Dangerous? I mean, you have to hold down two buttons all the time. It's like a modifier.
I don't really know. There's not really much I would change on them, to be honest.
Yeah,
Nintendo's just said fuck it and done a bunch of random shit. Like, I wasn't a big fan of their Pro controller for the Wii U because it had the analog sticks on the top.
Oh yeah, it was like a PlayStation, but the analog sticks and the buttons were reverso.
Yeah, because they put them all like on the top part, and it was just like, this is weird.
Yeah. What do you think about like a third trigger, like a top trigger,
I don't know,
like above like your R1 or your right bumper, putting like
kind of like a Z button on a GameCube.
Yeah, like another two sets of buttons. The only problem I keep getting into also is I'm trying to think of the time I played a video game and I was like, you know what, I need more buttons on this controller. I don't have enough buttons to do everything I want to do on this controller.
That's the thing, is like I've never thought that, because a lot of games will just map what you need to what you have now.
Yeah.
Like I said, as much shit as I give the Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't think more buttons would have helped out its control scheme, kind of thing.
And then I guess, on like the DualShock 4, the touchpad has kind of given you another like two surfaces. I actually played, there was some game that I played where it was like the weapon switching was swipe left, swipe right, swipe up, swipe down on the touchpad.
There was a game I played, I don't even remember what it was, that actually did use the touchpad for a lot of, like, it was like you had to wipe something off something, so you just did it on.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what it was anymore, but yeah, it has been used for stuff.
Probably you'd play like a dozen games over the course of this generation that actually use that thing in any way, shape, or form,
other than like press this button to see the map. Like that's the only other time I've seen it used.
Yep. We also had the new PlayStation 5 logo was announced.
People are giving it so much shit.
It just looks like the PS4 logo with a 5 instead of a 4, and everybody's like, that's not very creative, and I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, it's like what? And it's fine.
Yeah.
Although my favorite gag came from it, which is just like a guy on a computer and is just like backspace 5.
One of the ones on this Polygon article that I found on this is that they just took the PS from the PS logo and like repeated it over and over again, and then it was on Twitter as when you don't know where your cat is. It's just yeah, I mean, I don't know, like
I saw somebody be like, it should be that Spider-Man 3 font they did on
the PS3.
For the PS3, and I'm like, I wouldn't have been angry.
Yeah, I don't know that I really care all that much about what the logo is.
The Michael one where it's like, I don't know what I expect.
From Arrested Development. Yeah. So yeah, PS5 logo's out there. It looks like PS4, but with a 5 instead of a 4.
Yeah.
Does the Xbox have a new logo for the Series X?
I don't know. It's maybe I don't know.
I gotta look it up.
The Xbox X or whatever it's called.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Sexbox.
Sexbox. Yeah. They straight up did it. They made the Sexbox.
They did. So yeah, speaking of Microsoft, there was a really interesting story that came out right before we started recording today that said that it was I apologize in advance for being a fourth grader, but Matt Booty, the Microsoft
we just made an Xbox sex gag. We're not the most mature people.
Yeah, the Xbox Game Studios head was speaking with this magazine, MCV, and said that there won't be any Series X exclusive games for at least a year after its release.
That's fascinating.
So all the games that are going to be coming out for the Series X will be playable on the Xbox One and the Xbox One X, just at a lower resolution with a worse... I mean, it'll be like a PC, right? It'll be like running new games on your older PC. You got to crank down the fidelity a little bit.
It'll be very similar to the time frame with PS2, the PS3, or Xbox to Xbox. Like there's that gap of just games that were made for both, but the ones obviously was made more on the other than the other kind of thing.
Yeah, and actually though, so then that really brings up an interesting question of just like how much better are the things going to look on the Series X than on the Xbox One X, which I bought an One X, right?
I hear they're amazing.
It's great. It doesn't sound like a fucking airplane taking off when I play video games.
Swear to God, I'm the only one that doesn't happen to.
PlayStation 4. I've been playing Control in 4K, or no, not Control, Judgment in 4K. It's just like every time I had started up, it's just...
I swear mine has never done that. Well, I need to borrow a game that does that to see if mine does that, but it's never done it.
You just load up God of War. I turned off super sampling because at 1080p it sounds like that when you and I record God of War. But this is really interesting. I think this is actually a really great way to use the fact that we're on the similar PC architecture to bridge the generations of saying, this is an upgrade. It's not, and you've got some time, like, right? We're going to give you a whole year. It actually makes me wonder whether the PlayStation is going to follow suit or whether they're just going to be like, because, I mean, it made sense in the past when there was these big architecture changes between the consoles. But the simple fact of the matter is that I feel like the new consoles are just like stronger versions of what we currently have.
Well, that was one of the things they were touting about the PS5, I guess, to investors or something.
Yeah.
It was like, well, look, like they showed Spider-Man off. They're like, look how quickly it loads, and it was like half a second almost kind of thing compared to our PS4 Pro, which still takes like a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, maybe that will be what it is. Like the load times will probably not be non-existent between the two, I feel is the main selling point. And that's a maybe. We'll see how it goes, like you said.
There's actually another thing I didn't bring it up here this week that said that one of the Sony folks was saying that like they haven't really even announced any of the stuff that makes the PlayStation 5 unique.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I do like this. I like I feel like Xbox has been a weird journey this generation for the Xbox One.
Absolutely.
And that I like to see this idea of carving out a space where it's like different affordable SKUs, the Game Pass, like it's kind of like it's not like a cheap version of a console, but it's kind of like, hey man, do you just want to play video games? You're not into all this fucking, you're not just like psychotic about this. You're like reading VG 24/7 all the time. Like, just, you know what? Buy an Xbox, get Game Pass, play some video games, brah. It's fine.
It's just like they finally understood that, because like I said, when the Xbox One first started, they're very much like, do you like movies? Do you like watching television? Well, buy an Xbox. Like, but I don't. What? That doesn't make any sense. The kind of thing. Like, connect your Xbox to your cable box. Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever.
We're making a Halo TV show.
Yeah, it's like, what about the games? The what? Don't worry about that shit. What are you, stupid?
Yeah.
It's like, and then they wonder why they failed, kind of thing. Or no one's buying our games because you don't have any fucking games.
Yeah, the Xbox One's journey at the beginning was. Man,
it was stupid. It was super stupid.
The whole DRM thing and always online and Don Matrix saying that we have a console for people who want to play offline. It's called the Xbox 360, and it was just like,
Matrix.
Jesus, guys, and
they say shoot yourself in the foot, but they straight up took a Gatling gun and just kept going.
Yep.
They had no leg by the time they started.
That's why they couldn't walk it back fast enough. Anyway, I think that's really interesting, and I'll be really fascinated. What's great for me is that as somebody who wants to have all the consoles, it means to me that if the PlayStation 5 is going to make a delineation between like straight up PS5 games and PS4 games, and that PS5 games can't be played on the PS4, then I will buy a PS5 and keep my Xbox One X around for playing next gen Xbox games for a year. It's kind of a cool thing. I don't know.
We'll see how it goes. Xbox has really learned from its mistakes this past generation.
I'll tell you who hasn't learned from any mistakes from any generation. That's the WWE 2K franchise.
Oh boy!
And even though this is a small story, it's a laugh riot. It's a mile a minute. I don't know if you saw this, Michael, but as soon as New Year's happened, WWE 2K20 stopped working.
Oh my God, really?
As soon as it turned to 2020, there was a somewhat Y2K style bug in WWE 2K20 that meant that if you tried to launch stuff from the main menu, the game would crash.
That's amazing.
And that people could literally get around it by setting their clock back on some of the consoles. Now, they fixed this within 24 hours, but Jesus Lord, WWE.
Oh my God.
Jesus 2K.
That's the best fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yep.
That's such a fucking, oh my God. Like the irony.
Yep.
Is,
WWE,
shit.
I think that WWE 2K20 has shown us how much worse it could have gotten.
Hear that, Pokemon fans?
WWE 2K20 makes Fallout 76 look not like the worst game I've ever played in my life.
It's amazing.
My
fucking God.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you not? How do you... I mean, this is like some Konami levels of bullshit right here.
What's better, though, this or Aliens Colonial Marines? If you had a gun to your head.
I'd rather play Aliens Colonial Marines because I think Aliens Colonial Marines is the funniest game I've ever played in my life. It's so fucking terrible. It's like watching The Room or Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I could definitely understand that.
Whereas WWE 2K20 is still just like, here's all these dense mechanics and they just don't work properly. Here's all these dead-eyed models whose faces have turned inside out and they don't work properly. I
don't even know what happened to my copy of Aliens Colonial Marines. I either gave it or lent it to somebody, and I never saw it again.
Threw it in a puddle.
We might have actually. Might have destroyed it.
I threw it at a guy I didn't like. I threw it at a zombie, Shaun of the Dead style.
We got it for $3 at a GameStop because they had so many of them.
Yeah. So WWE 2K20 broke as soon as 2020 began. Great.
That's amazing.
Speaking of games that are coming out in 2020, Yakuza Like a Dragon got some interesting information last week. It's going to have dungeons. So apparently,
like karaoke dungeons, or
no? Apparently, below the city, there's going to be like these underground tunnels that like lead to the places, and then you will go down there, and there'll be like homeless people and like fucked up weirdos, and like they even talked about there's going to be like safes that if you open them up, there might be like a bad guy inside of them.
I hear that's how Vegas is.
So this got me thinking. Because, Like a Dragon is going to be like a party-based, turn-based RPG.
Oh, that's right.
As opposed to like a beat-em-up. I mean, I was actually playing Judgment last week, and I realized that in Judgment, there's a whole mechanic where around the city, there's crap on the ground. There's like metal and like magnets and like sticks and stuff that you pick up, and you just run over and pick up. And then you use those to craft literal potions that give you like 30 seconds where your attacks can't be blocked, or like 180 seconds where your base attacks are faster.
Oh.
They give you literally like it's like an RPG.
That's fascinating.
At one point, somebody in some video made a comparison talking about how Yakuza is an RPG. It's just instead of an open world, you've got the city, and then you get into random encounters with monsters that show up, and you beat them, you get experience points and items, and then you continue on your journey.
Steal their money.
Right. You go to a place, a guy gives you a task, you go to the place that the guy told you, there's a boss fight, you get a treasure for it, you level up, you put those points into attacking things. The whole thing is just a JRPG wrapped up in this weird crime.
No, it absolutely is.
Wrapper.
Yeah.
And then the fact that the new Yakuza is going to literally have you with a party of people, and then you're going to be doing turn-based attacks, and now there's apparently dungeons with literal like mimic chests in them.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm cool with that, because I'm so tired of swords and sorcery that if it's exactly a swords and sorcery JRPG, but everybody's a criminal in Japan,
I'm okay with that. Actually.
I'm okay with that. Like
that sounds awesome. Actually,
100% up my alley. So
we need more RPGs that are just not sword and sorcery things.
I've played maybe a handful of like modern game RPGs in my life, and I think you totally do it. Like instead of swords and axes, you just have the guy come up, shoot a gun, and then walk back to the line of people and just do it. Parasite Eve?
No swords, nothing. Just go for it.
Yeah. So I'm super, super, super excited for this. And then it's supposed to be out in the West sometime this year.
Oh, okay.
Actually, going back and playing Judgment, which is one of the games I'm currently trying to finish, has been just so instructive of like, man, I like these guys. like I had this thing. I'm going to go on a. Do we have time? We have a little bit of time. I'm going to go on a tangent where I was thinking a lot last week about how, like, because you know that Judgment is set in Kamurocho, and Kamurocho is like, you know, this is kind of a similar, maybe even the same map of Yakuza 0, Kiwami 2, and 6 have probably all been using the same map with slight tweaks to it. But the thing is that, like, the convenience stores don't move. So, like, I know where the convenience stores are in Kamurocho. Like, I know where the hotel district is. I know where the theater district is. I know where the red light district is. Like, I know where the slums are because I've been playing on the exact same map for, like, 9 games now.
Oh, jeez.
And it was interesting to me because I was like, this is great. Why don't more games do this? Like, I know where everything is, but the story's brand new. It's brand new characters, brand new story, brand new stakes. I'm just like, oh, no, what's going to happen next? But I know I don't have to, like, relearn a place. And it got me thinking about how these game companies will make a map of a, like, Grand Theft Auto 5. And they make this huge, intricate, detailed map, and then they just use it for one game and, like, throw it away and start over again. And it's like, why not make a... And it made me think about how in the past that was why we had single-player DLC, right?
Yeah.
But how since it's all Grand Theft Auto Online, we didn't get that. But I just love that. I love the fact that, like, I know where the shops are in Kamurocho, and so I'm already familiar with the world, and it gives me a bigger focus on the actual story because I don't have to, like, learn the map. I know the map.
Yeah, I think only one other game I can think has maybe done that, but only with one other game, which was A Link Between Worlds, because it's pretty much the same map as Link to the Past, and most of the stuff is pretty much the same. So I was like, I know where to go. I'm just going to go murder this guy here and murder that guy there and just get inside.
But this is not taking place in Kamurocho. So
no.
It'd be interesting to see how
takes
that goes.
place in dungeons and such.
I forget where it is. It's another city. Anyway, speaking of... No, I have no segue. Error 404, segue not found. So there is a game. This is a weird one. We got a little bit of footage in this trailer for a game called F-Stop or Aperture Camera. And this was a game that apparently Valve was either working on or had outsourced that was a prequel to Portal. And it's all about taking pictures, and then, like, if you take pictures, you can, like, take a picture of a thing and then, like, put that thing back into the world, like, change it. Kind of like Superliminal almost. And apparently Valve wasn't working on this anymore, but they are letting this other company work on this called Lunch House Software, and it's going to be called Exposure. And it's kind of vague about whether it's actually going to be a thing, but it seems like Valve might have just given this project to this other place and been like, I don't know if you guys want to do this.
All the assets kind of thing.
Yeah, just go for it, man. We got into the planning phases. So it's kind of interesting. And Michael, I want more Portal. Everyone wants Half-Life 3. I want Portal 3. I want Portal more than I want Half-Life, more than I want Left 4 Dead, more than I want any of that other
That's fair.
Valve shit.
Completely fair.
So if I can get some other, I played like, what was that? Bridge Constructor Portal?
Oh, yeah, Portal Bridge Constructor. Whatever.
Portal Stories Meg. I think both of those showed up on Rage Select at some point.
Well. That's crazy shit.
Yeah. So it's pretty weird. Let's see. From there, we got some trailers. We got a brand new trailer for Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet, which is the Rob McElhenney. I don't know how you say that.
I'm not sure. McElhenney? I'm never sure how to say it. Mac. I'm just going to say Mac.
Yeah, Mac from It's Always Sunny. As a jackass game developer. It looks like Ashley Birch is in there at some point.
Yeah, I was wondering what she was up to for a long time.
The guy from Community, one of the guys from Community.
Oh, the guy who plays Abed. Yeah, I forgot his name right away.
Yeah.
Oh, there's people here that if you see them, you're like, I recognize them from something, kind of thing.
Yeah. I have to say that this trailer was okay.
It's a much better trailer than the first trailer they came out with. What was it, during E3?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that trailer and being like, oh, looks like it's going to be real bad. But this trailer looks like, actually is like, you know what, this could actually be kind of fun if the writing is decent enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's something I could see myself seeing, like, and maybe even putting in the background kind of thing.
I guess the real question, though, Michael, is will you be subscribing to Apple TV in order to watch it?
No. I don't have Apple anything in my apartment that's not my roommate's.
Yeah, that is the correct answer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looked okay. It's definitely. I'm going to say the exact same thing I said last time, which is like I'll give it an episode or two.
I'll give it a chance, to be honest, because before I was just gonna basically not watch it, to be honest, because that E3 trailer was so not even
vague.
Meh. It was just like every joke that was in it didn't work.
Yeah.
Where this trailer, I found myself laughing at parts of it.
I like the prescription bagel bit at the end. I liked that quite a bit.
I did like that one quite a bit.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I feel like people have been trying to make video game TV shows that are like a big hit for a while.
Yeah,
and what
people really
the Guild
try.
Kind of a little bit.
The Guild worked on the fact that it wasn't really about the game so much as was the characters.
Yeah,
this one wants to seem to be both.
Yeah,
but I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah. From there we got a Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. This time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
This one's for Michael. Michael can say things. I don't care about Dragon Ball. Go, Michael.
So they decided to do basically a trailer that is hitting the nostalgia on a lot of dub people, which is that they did it was kind of like the last time on Dragon Ball Z, but they got the voice actor who did the original announcer stuff to do it again, who's actually the same voice actor as Ryu and Gohan in the show. So it's actually really a lot of fun because of that, but it does make me more excited at the idea of playing it more and more. And I can't wait. It comes out next Friday.
Yep,
I've already pre-bought this son of a bitch.
Great, because I'm not gonna buy it. So bring it over here and let's do some Rage Select.
Of course, that was the thing I was gonna bring up later. But yeah, I'm super fucking excited for this game.
Do you have like the pre-order bonus where you get like 4 more tails, or like
I get a training thing apparently.
Matcha T, whoever that new character is.
Banyu is the new character.
All right,
she's a female Ginyu Force member, which they put a lot of focus on that for some reason. But okay,
right on.
But I'm really excited. Everything I've seen on it looks really fun. It's an adventure game, and they don't really make a lot of adventure, or they don't make a lot of non-fighting game Dragon Ball Z things lately.
It'll be interesting to see a Dragon Ball Z game that is not an arena fighter or a card game.
Yeah.
Because to date, those have been the two types of Dragon Ball Z games that I have seen. So, yeah. It's funny, though, because of the art style and because of where we are in this generation and the way that you can kind of ape the art style of Dragon Ball Z, the interesting thing about Dragon Ball Z right now is that all of the games kind of look exactly the same. Like, if you show me trailers for them, like, what was the Time Force one?
Is
Xenoverse, and like the card one, and like
Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Yeah,
no, that one is different though.
It's a little different
because Super Dragon Ball Heroes uses the old PS2 sort of look, is what they did.
Is that the card one?
Yeah,
and then the fighting game one.
That one is Fighters.
Yeah,
which is like, it's very unique, to be honest, compared
I know, to me, it's funny that they make all these different games based on the exact same art style, and they all look I'm sure they look different to people who are very much into it.
I know the difference between them all.
But
so yeah,
to me, it's just like I'm your. Isn't this the same game you were playing last week, Michael?
This in Xenoverse, though, I could totally see them being you seeing them the same way.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Because it even has a very similar control screen, which I think works better as an adventure game scheme than a fighting game.
We got a new teaser for the Lego Skywalker Saga trailer or trilogy, where they're
or series, yeah,
non-trilogy, whatever. Where now that the new one's out, they're putting out this year. There's going to be a 9-game Lego collection that goes all the way from the prequels to the new ones, and then adds in Rise of Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. So prepared to be disappointed all over again.
I mean,
by or maybe I don't know what you're into, guys.
I don't like the Lego games very much. I find them to be very repetitive.
I find them fun enough. They're good co-op games kind of thing with people.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, they're okay.
And then inexplicably, every time we play them on Rage Select, somehow I get stuck, and none of us can figure out what the fuck we're supposed to do in
that
Lego
Jurassic
game.
World one.
Just every time, it was the Marvel or DC villains before that, or something like that, Or no, the man and I did DC. No, we got stuck in that one too.
Yeah.
Every time there's a point where the baby game gets us stuck, and I'm just like, what the fuck, man?
I know we got stuck on something, but I don't remember if it was even that game.
It's so.
I don't remember what it was anymore.
I don't know. Was it Lego Dragon Ball? Was that the?
Maybe, I don't know. That would be neat.
Looked exactly the same as all the rest of them, just like Dragon Ball. We got a 2-minute trailer for Disaster Report 4 Summer Memories. I'm kind of on the fence about if there's other games that come out, Michael. I don't know that I want to play this game where you just have to like run away from falling buildings and then just like give people toilet paper.
See, here's the thing: is I like the idea of a disaster report.
Yeah.
But the only one that I was interested in any shape or form was the Godzilla one.
Oh, the one that Matt and I played.
That you and Matt played, but they're never coming out with that here.
Yeah,
which is very frustrating because that would be rad.
One that had like Ultraman and Evangelion.
But instead we got this fucking nonsense.
Yeah, I'm not going to say much more about this because I think it kind of looks boring, personally.
Well, it's just this. It's the survival simulator.
Yeah,
and if you're into that, like it's like those fucking tractor games. It's like I don't know who loves
simulator.
These, but somebody fucking adores these goddamn games, and so they keep making them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know. We'll see when it finally comes out. And then last but not least, we had a Magic Legends gameplay trailer. Magic is making like a kind of a top-down ARPG Diablo-style game that has some card stuff in it. It seems like Magic is really pushing this like, hey, get into Magic. And I'm like, that's okay. And they're like, no, really, bro. And I'm like, I don't want to. And they're like, no, seriously, check out this Diablo game. And I'm like, it looks like Diablo. And they're like, yeah, you like Diablo, right?
You have friends, right? You can play that with them. I don't know. You guys play Magic.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to. It looks like a really generic ARPG.
Oh, it's all it is. But I don't know if that's good or bad, depending.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to. Like, as long as it's not a bad one, I think it'll do fine.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that the people that like Magic will totally play it. Of course, if it's coming out, it's going to be going up against Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4 are both kind of on the horizon.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how it goes.
It goes.
Maybe it'll do something that's more friendly than the others.
Yep. Speaking of things that are coming on the horizon, apparently Overwatch 2 might be coming out this year. Last week, apparently PlayStation, or not apparently, for realsies, PlayStation Brazil just tweeted like, hey, Overwatch 2 is going to be out this year. And then they deleted it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Those poor bastards.
I love the world that we live in where there's, Canadian Walmart just put the new Arkham game up for pre-order. And everybody's like, dude, Canadian Walmart, stop it. Like,
I love that about this world we're in. It's just like random countries will just say something and the main place is like, no, you weren't. No, don't do that.
Or like there's a LinkedIn, there's a job posting at From Software for like a new game in the Souls franchise. We need an art director for it. And everybody's like, what? There's a what? And they're like, no, don't, you didn't see that. Shut up. Get out of here.
Or you'll be on like LinkedIn and then there's a guy who's like, I worked on Diablo 5 kind of thing. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, but they never said anything.
So yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, from what I've seen so far, it seems like Overwatch 2 has probably been in development for a little bit. So
yeah, there's
going to come out later this year.
Everyone, like again, the Pokemon thing. Everyone's bitching about the Pokemon thing, but Overwatch 2 is just that.
Yeah.
It's doing the same thing.
Yeah. Speaking of shit that's coming out, we got some more teasies from the Arkham Origins studio with the cryptic logo that kind of maybe looks like a GCPD thing.
It looks like a cop thing of some kind.
Yeah.
At minimum, because of the way that because it has an eagle and a badge kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the sword of arms kind of thing is the only thing that makes me curious as to what it's supposed to be.
Yep. We don't know what it is, but
they just keep saying chase the bat or something like that, or capture the bat.
Yeah, capture the knight.
Or capture the knight. That's right.
The KNIGHT.
But apparently they said they were gonna. The rumor was they were gonna announce this during Batman Day, but I guess something must have gone wrong or something because
Batman Day.
Well, because they every year there's something called Batman Day. It's because I think it's like closer to its anniversary time frame or something.
Okay.
And it's a huge deal for DC because they'll put out new Batman shit every 20 seconds, and Batman Day was one of those things, and people were pretty sure they were going to announce that then, and then nothing happened, kind of thing, because it was the 80th anniversary last year, I think, for Batman.
Oh yeah, there was some big thing.
So that's why people thought they were going to do that, and then they didn't.
All I have to say is, fucking Warner Brothers, stop it. Just announce something or don't announce something, but quit tickling my nuts. All right, I laughed. And now I'm past the point of it's not funny anymore. Just really either tell me there's going to be a new Batman thing or don't tell me there's going to be a new Batman thing. But don't tease me about whether there's going to be a Batman thing or not.
That's a Plastic Man game. When the one last thing anybody expected.
It's the Harvey Dent game.
Can he be trusted?
Bullock. It's the Bullock.
Harvey Bullock.
The Harvey Bullock game.
You just get people coffee and shit and just yell at Batman.
Yeah. You got like a hunger meter that just goes down constantly. You got to keep shoving sandwiches in your face.
Just the button to tell Batman to fuck himself every time you run into him.
Batman, you just suck. Also, speaking of things that nobody wants, like Harvey Bullock, Gollum, the Lord of the Rings Gollum game.
But why though?
Is in production for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Apparently, it's going to be a whole. You're going to be like. You got to make choices that either put your meter goes in the Smeagol side or on the Gollum side, and you're going to have to do. And you know what? It's now been what, like 2 years since the last Hobbit movie came out.
I thought it was much longer than that at this point.
3?
I don't even know. That's the thing is I don't know.
Yeah.
After the Hobbit ended, like I was just like, oh, that was 1,000 years ago at this point. Because I stopped caring ages ago. Like the last Lord of the Rings thing I even had some caring about was the Shadow of War. And, whatever the other one was called. I think
Shadow of Mordor.
No.
Yep. Shadow of Mordor was good, and I think that Shadow of Mordor showed that like you should probably just make your own story instead of trying to be like, you guys want to hear about the secret origins of Gollum? And I'm like, no,
I never thought that.
Wasn't the origin of Gollum? They found the ring. He killed his friend. He went underground and then turned into a monster.
Yeah,
the end.
The end of the story.
I guess at some point he met up with. A fucking Ranger Man and Celebrimbor and Shadow of Mordor.
Oh
right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
because
he runs into him and he's just
he likes
kind of dick.
the elf ghost and he doesn't like the Ranger.
Yeah.
Anyway, good, great. Lord of the Rings. That's not.
I'm sure this is gonna not be great.
Yep, it's gonna be fine.
They'll get an Andy Serkis look-alike.
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't know why they need a look-alike.
A few other things. So at CES this year, Alienware showed basically a PC version of a Switch that they made.
Yeah, I heard about this.
It's a tablet that runs Windows 10, and then it's got controllers on the side. I mean, it looks just exactly like a fucking Switch.
It's just a Switch, but with PC stuff.
Yeah, that it can run actual PC games. It's got a 1280p screen, or 1200, I think. This isn't a bad idea, but it strikes me as like a NVIDIA Shield style. Like I can see some tech nerds that I know that might be interested in something like this, but that
somebody will make this thing rad as hell.
Yeah.
After like modding the shit out of it.
I guess the real question I didn't see from the article was like, are they planning to have a dock?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Because that's the best part of the Switch is the fact that I could play it on my TV if I want to.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
And then take it out and play it in my hands if I want to.
Maybe it's got an HDMI port or something.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting though. It's really like somebody put a lot of work into like the case design and everything. Like it's slick looking. Apparently, it's got magnets that attach it to the side of the screen, which is a little strange, but
a little dangerous. I
think. But yeah, it looks pretty solid. So check it out. And last but not least, nope. Next to not least. So apparently, with The Witcher on Netflix, The Witcher had more concurrent players over the holidays on Steam than it had after it was released.
Yeah, apparently it was at like 100,000 or something like that.
It's like 94,000. It topped out at 92,000 back when it was at launch, and then over the holidays it got up to 94,600. So
this is crazy, and it's on Game Pass right now.
Yeah.
Which is also crazy.
It's pretty amazing. I think The Witcher 3 is an amazing game that I will probably never finish in my life because it's just too fucking long. Michael, I finished Fire Emblem Three Houses. It took me 77 hours.
Oh, geez.
And, dude, fuck that. I don't have time for these 80-hour RPGs, brah.
No.
I just do not. Like, I'll play a 40-hour RPG. I'll play a 40-hour RPG.
Every time I think about starting Witcher, I'm just like, I don't have the time. It's just, I don't.
Well, like, do you want this to be everything you play for a year?
Yeah.
Like, no, dude, there are other games coming out. Like, I want to play that Dragon Ball game, and I don't want to, like, stop playing The Witcher 3, play the Dragon Ball game, forget where I was in The Witcher 3, go back to it and be like, I should really start over.
Yeah.
I don't want to start over.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
I just can't.
The end. I have a real bone to pick with these 80-hour fucking games. And then finally last week, somebody actually put out a mod for Grand Theft Auto 5 that they put all of Vice City in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Ooh.
It's not quite as detailed as GTA 5's models, but, you know, you can, and then the game itself isn't in there, but you can just kind of wander around, look at all the different stuff. Somebody just built it up as a mod. It takes a couple mods apparently to run on the PC, and then they've done some kind of like recreation of some of the parts of Vice City in it.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if we're going to see a new Grand Theft Auto within the next 2 years.
Who knows? The rumor is that they might be working on something.
Yeah. But you can go download that now if you want to check out Vice City. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. I need to put more coffee in my cup, and we're going to answer some questions. So everybody stick around, and we'll see you in a minute. Michael, we're back. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready for questions?
I wasn't drinking anything. You don't have to worry about it. I don't have a problem.
Yeah. Mail at rageselect.com is the email address. Oh, wait. Before we start, I have a public service announcement to everybody about cooking. Cooking PSA. So for the last 2 years, my family and I have been doing this. We got it down. This Christmas, we cooked a turkey. Right.
Oh, this story.
We did turkey, and my relatives ate all of it. Like, there wasn't enough for another dinner, and so we literally cooked 2 turkeys this year. You gotta spatchcock that turkey, Michael. It's so easy to do.
Explain this again.
Okay.
I didn't hear the whole thing last time.
All right, so just brief tangent. I swear to God, y'all, this won't take more than 4 minutes, all right?
I'm curious. He tried to explain this to me at a gathering, and I couldn't tell the whole thing.
Yeah. So, okay, you know a turkey or a chicken, right? A bird, right? It's a big ball, you know? And when you cook it in the oven, what you need is the heat to get all the way inside of it so that you're cooking the dark meat that's like further in. But the part of your turkey that is closest to the heat is the breast, which is going to dry out way faster. And so for years, mankind has been fighting this problem of basting. And I watched a Gordon Ramsay video where he shoved about like 2 sticks of butter under the skin, like between the outside of the skin and the actual turkey.
My mom used to inject it with orange juice.
There you go. But what you do when you spatchcock a turkey is you basically you flip it on its you flip it upside down, and there's a turkey spine. You take a pair of poultry shears and you cut on both sides of the turkey or the chicken or whatever the bird is. You cut on both sides of the thing. You pull the spine out like fucking Sub-Zero. Finish him, and then you're like, turkey loses. And then you turn it back over like a regular like thing, and you put both of your hands right in the middle of the turkey breast, and you push down on it, and you snap the breastbone. And what you end up with is two halves of a turkey laid out flat. So now, instead of trying to cook a ball into the middle, you're cooking like a pizza, so you can cook it evenly. Everything is getting heat at the same time. You put oil, salt, and pepper on it. You put it in the middle of a sheet pan with like one of those little cooking racks on it. You put it in the oven. We cooked like a 16-pound turkey in like 90 minutes. It was like, and it was perfect. It was perfection. It was like, oh my God, wonderful. So like, if you want to cook a turkey, and I swear to God, you do need a pair of poultry shears, because you can't just use like those crappy scissors that you have. Like you need like a pair. You need something that is going to be able to cut through bone, like quickly and easily. But it is so hard to fuck this up. Like when I first started cooking, I was just roasting chickens, and like, they were always okay, but like, goddamn, y'all, go on. And there's a million videos on the internet about how to spatchcock this stuff. The only problem is that you have to make like the gravy by hand. So you basically boil the what do they call it? The gizzard and the I don't know. Giblets.
Oh, okay.
You pull the giblets out, you put them in the thing, you put the spine into this is the gross part, because you're already going to be handling a spine. You put it into like a thing of water with some spices, with some like aromatics.
And you got a stew going, baby.
And you boil it and let all that get into it, and then you make a roux, which is you basically put flour and butter together, and then you put that and some stock in, and you have to make a gravy. But outside of that, boom, you're good to go. Like, you make to cook a turkey, you don't even have to fuck with it. You just like open it up, and you're like, how hot is that turkey? Boom, take it out. Boom, leave it in. Do whichever one. Spatchcock a turkey. It's amazing. You will thank me later. Or not. I don't know. Maybe you're just eating turkey all the time now, and you're just like, shit.
You're like, fuck Thanksgiving. I want turkey now.
I'm gonna make a turkey in July. I'm gonna make a Thanksgiving dinner at some point. Anyway, Ron writes in and says, "Hello, Jeff and Michael. I work in retail and have noticed that many people seem to be returning their Nintendo Switch Lites. Not a huge number of returns, but enough for me to take notice. Most people just tell me it wasn't what they wanted, but one person did admit they didn't realize that it wasn't the same as a regular Switch. It just got me curious because I haven't really heard anything about the Switch Lites since they were released. What do you think? Just a bunch of parents not knowing what they were buying, or have you heard some story that I might have missed? Maybe there isn't as much of a market for a portable-only Switch as Nintendo thought. I know it's a small sample size, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts. Hope you had a good holiday. I look forward to Rage Select in 2020. And that's from Ron.
We have a great answer for this.
Indeed.
Because of what happened.
Yes.
Not that long ago to somebody.
Yes.
So Brian Salisbury.
Yep.
Of Junk Food Cinema, as well as some stuff that he's done with Rage Select, had a hard time figuring out the difference between a Nintendo Switch Lite and a Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a very similar experience to what you're mentioning, really.
Yep. He bought the Lite, and it turns out that wasn't like what his kid wanted.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, this is like $50 less than a regular Switch. Like, I'll get this one. And then it turned out not to be what he wanted.
Yeah. Because a lot of parents don't know the difference. Like, it's the thing what happened with the 3DS and the new 3DS. Because I worked retail when that happened.
Yeah.
And I spent like hours just explaining the difference between these two things. I'm like, well, here's the thing. This one can play this one can play games that are on this one, but this one doesn't, kind of things. Well, what's the difference? It's like, well, it's called the new 3DS. It's like, well, it's just a new version. I was like, I get that. I get what you're saying, but I need to explain to you the exact differences of this, or you will come back very upset with me, kind of thing.
Yep.
And that's what happens. I think that's what's going on with the Switch Lite, is because a lot of people, they want to get their kids are asking for Switches. The Switch Lite is cheaper, but it doesn't have, you can't take the sides off of it. You can't dock it. Mm-hmm. Even if you can play multiplayer with other people, you would have to be holding the fucking thing.
You'd have to buy additional controllers, because
not even just the additional controllers, but the issue is that those two controllers don't disconnect off of it.
Yeah.
So you would have to hold it like people can't see me, but you'd have to hold it to where the screen is viewed by the people who you're playing with,
right?
Because there's no way of doing it that otherwise kind of thing.
Well, I mean, but what's funny about this is I feel like this goes back to a long honorable tradition that Nintendo has had of like naming and creating products that people have no idea what the fuck it is that they're buying.
Yeah.
Like the Wii U.
The Wii U.
I don't know how many, for lack of a better term, civilians were just like, So I just buy the tablet, and then I use my existing Wii with the tablet, and it's like, no, it's a brand new thing, and it's like, well,
why is it
a
called
Wii?
The Wii U? Like, it's just the Wii, right? Like, I also worked retail in the middle of the Wii U's life cycle, and it also was very much like that. People would buy Nintendo Wii U games and be like, "Yeah, this works on my Wii, right?" I'm like, "No, it won't work on the Wii." Like the Wii games will work on the Wii U. It's like, well, I don't understand. So why doesn't this not work on Zai? It's like, well, you need it has the tablet thing. So I just buy the tablet. No, that's not. You're not listening to me, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that was Nintendo's was really bad about.
I mean,
that.
the DS and the DSi,
the DS Lite, the DSi.
Yep.
The Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP. The Game Boy Micro, all three of those play the exact same things, guys.
Yep. Even the 2DS.
The 2DS is another good example. What was the original 2DS? The cake shape one.
Cake shape?
You remember it looked kind of like the end of an X? An X, like when they first made the 2DS, because it was like a wedge. Because it didn't even fold. You remember? Yeah, it was a wedge. It's like a cake wedge.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Like that was another whole fucking explanation that you had to give parents, kind of thing. They're like, well, they wanted the 3D. It's like, well, it doesn't do the 3D, but it'll play everything, kind of thing. Like, and you have to. God, Nintendo's really fucking bad about that, guys. You have no fucking idea. And even and parents are really bad about that in general. When the Xbox 360 came out, people were buying their kids Xbox 360 games thinking it'll work on their Xbox, or vice versa, or not vice versa, but the same with or they would buy an Xbox game for a PS2. Like, parents don't fucking pay attention to things. It's really what that comes down to.
But it's a lot harder when your naming structure is DS, DSi, DS Lite, 3DS. The fact is, the new 3DS should have been called like the 3DS.
Advance or something. I don't know. Something that delineated
clearly
different. Because if you say new 3DS, you're just, it's just a newer version.
Yeah. And the idea of making the successor console to the Wii U, like if they just have called it the Wii 2, like, you could have had a whole marketing campaign about the Wii 2, Wii 2 together. Then it would have been like, it's the Wii 2, not the Wii, but the Wii U. Wii U.
Wii U, guys.
Yeah. So so here's the thing with as far as I'll say that when I talk to my friends and I only listen to like a couple of video game podcasts because I like to taint my opinions with other people's news takes. I feel like half the people that I know that have a Switch never dock it, and the other half do.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people look at the original Switch as a portable. So for them, the Switch Lite is great because all they ever use it for is playing in bed, playing on the couch, playing on the bus, playing, whatever. I do not do that. I do not want to do that. Yeah. I have a Pro Controller and a 4K television, and I'm going to use those motherfuckers.
Yeah, because mine's docked most of the time. The only time I haven't docked it is I've taken it to work a couple times. Like when I have to work holidays kind of thing, because there's like nothing.
Yeah.
Like when I worked Christmas, because remember, like, it sucks that you work Christmas. Like, I played Donkey Kong Country for like 4 hours and I got paid for it.
There you go.
Until like 2 hours into Mario Odyssey, they're like, just fucking leave.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. It's like you can just, like, the Switch is great for that. You can take it anywhere you want. Like, I've taken it to my parents' house, kind of thing. I played, because I have a Pro Controller as well, and I just took the controllers off, gave them to my brothers, and we played Smash Brothers on my little screen, kind of thing. But it's docked at my apartment most of the time, and my roommate, he'll undock it and just fuck with Mario Maker for like 4 hours while I'm playing like Quantum Break or something.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it's the Switch, but that's what's great about the original Switch is it does both.
Right.
And that's what makes it so goddamn worth it.
Yes.
Which is why the Switch Lite, I just feel like is still such a giant step down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's like they wanted to come out with a new Game Boy, but they're like, well, the Switch already
fills that.
So why don't we just make that instead? And then not really thinking about it.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. We got a Whiskey Howl writes in and says, Dear Jeff and Michael, 2 questions. During the Black Friday sales, I bought my first PlayStation console of the current generation, PS4 Pro, and bought the following games which I couldn't enjoy. Okay. The Last of Us, The Witcher 3, Bloodborne, Red Dead 2, etc. But during my sporadic playing of these games, I noticed something which I first discovered when playing Red Dead 1 10 years ago. I lost my actual love of playing games. Instead, I get easily irritated/stressed after playing for an hour or two. I only seem to enjoy the games for their stories and not for the playing itself. What should I do? Give up on gaming altogether since my heart isn't into it anymore? Second question. This one is for Cook Select. Jeff, would you repeat a recipe that you once mentioned on the podcast? You spoke of an easy way of preparing green cabbage in the oven with splitting the cabbage down the middle and then using butter and salt. Kind regards, and that's from Whiskey Howell. I will tell you the cabbage, it's super easy. It's not butter, but it's go look for Kenji Lopez Alt roasted cabbage. But basically what
Sounds
it is...
Sounds like a game for some reason.
I know.
Is that a Kenji skin? Is that what that is?
It's the Kenji XL, really. You put your oven at 500 degrees, take a cabbage, cut it in half, right? Then cut it in quarters, and then cut those quarters into eighths. You put those wedges on a baking sheet, and then you drizzle them with olive oil and salt and pepper and rub that all into them. Then you flip them over, do it on the other side, slap it in the oven for, I think it's 10 minutes, and then take them out, and then very carefully with a fork, this is the hardest part, with a fork and spatula, flip them over, flip them to the other side, and then put them back in there, and just keep doing that until they're all brown and nutty and groovy on the outside, and then you can take them out and just get a big wedge cabbage. So, as far as the other thing goes, game burnout. Well, let's see.
That's a tough one because game burnout does happen.
Yep.
It happened to me not that long ago. There was a huge gap of time where I just I would start something and I just wouldn't finish it. Yeah. That was happening to me a lot. About a couple of years ago. Actually.
Okay, so the one thing that I'm seeing though in this list of
games,
they're
all long games.
They're all very long and very technically dense games, right?
Yeah.
Witcher 3, Last of Us, Bloodborne, Red Dead 2. I mean, they all have a lot of systems. They all have a lot of out
of all of the ones that that he didn't put Excedra on. I think The Last of Us is maybe the simplest of all of those games. And even then, not by a lot.
Maybe Red Dead 2 Jason and I playing Red Dead 2 has really brought back that, Red Dead 2 is big and it's got a lot of systems, but it's not very difficult. It's not challenging.
Well, it's not the difficulty that I'm saying. It's just it's the length.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, it's the shortest kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you plow through Bloodborne, but that's a different story kind of thing. But that's the thing about the ones that he's mentioned is they all feel like games that just are going to take a while,
right?
And I think that's part of why he's getting so burnt out.
Yeah,
my advice is just take a step back, look at the games that you're playing, and start from something like an 8-hour game or probably not even in just try finding a Castle Crasher kind of thing, just something that's quick, takes not all that time. It might get your enthusiasm back up for stuff like that again.
I think that the second thing that he talks about with having I enjoy the games for the stories and not the playing itself. Maybe one of the things to try would be they just put out a remixed version of the Batman Telltale series that's all monochromatic, but then with these splashes of color in certain places. Oh. Maybe give that a try, right?
Yeah.
I definitely, though, agree with the look for an 8-hour game, but I would say maybe there are still 8 to 10-hour games that have a lot of story in them that aren't so mechanically dense. Control's a little long, and the control does get a little challenging at times, but it's not very mechanically difficult.
There's a lot of easy mode stuff. I know you don't want to hear the easy mode thing, but for what you want, easy modes are great for that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you find yourself getting more frustrated by certain things.
Yeah. And this goes back to what I was saying before, though. I will say that I've been looking at the length of video games. I was really thinking about it after the 77-hour mark in Fire Emblem, where I'm like, does this game being 77 hours long make it better? If this was a 40-hour, because RPGs used to be 40 hours.
Yeah.
Regular video games were 8 hours. JRPGs were 40, sometimes a little bit more than that. But now it's regular video games are 20 hours long and JRPGs are 80 hours long. And I'm like, does 80 hours really make it better than 40? Does that extra 40? Because I was playing Fire Emblem and I noticed that at a certain point I got into a rhythm, right? At the first day of every month, I would explore the school, talk to everybody, give all my students gifts to get their energy levels up, do all the shopping that I needed to do, and then we would do the week of instruction, and then I would take 1 week where I'd just do random battles for a little while and to level everybody up. And then I'd take another week to just rest, and then the last week of the month was always like the story beat, right?
Yeah.
And it's fine, but it did that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to the point where I'm like, I think you could have cut 20 or 30% out of this, and it wouldn't have hurt the game. It wouldn't have hurt the narrative. What it reminds me of is the Stick of Truth.
Oh, okay.
Because the Stick of Truth is like 10 hours.
It's really short.
Like for everything.
Like you can plow through. Like, and I did everything, and it maybe took me 15 hours at most.
Yeah, kind
of thing.
And like there was plenty in there that you could have expanded into having more random battles or having more things, but it didn't feel like it needed that.
No.
And I really enjoyed the fact that it was just like here. And then it didn't wear out its welcome. I feel like that's a lot of times what happens to me with games is that they wear out their welcome. So I would say, maybe something like Stick of Truth or Fractured But Whole. I'm trying to like look over here at my games. Like I was just looking up here, Doom 2016.
Doom's would be a really good one.
Is a pretty solid. I'm trying to look at things that aren't like a big open world game. Because I like Watch Dogs 2 or like Spider-Man, but those are both kind of open world games.
Well, the thing is, like a lot of those games, at least especially Spider-Man, you don't have to do all the side stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you really want to just do the story stuff, just do the entire story of Spider-Man.
Titanfall
and you'll
2?
finish it really fast. Yeah, Titanfall 2 is a perfect example.
I'm a big fan of Titanfall 2.
Great story, fairly short game.
You can beat it in 6 hours.
Yeah.
I would start looking around, and it's going to be probably a little bit difficult because, like I said, a lot of games have kind of puffed up in size. But maybe like Far Cry 4 or
also if you really like feel like you might not want to play anything for a while, just go ahead and just watch some Let's Play stuff for a while.
Yeah.
See if it gets your enthusiasm back up, and then maybe jump back in, kind of thing. That might also work for you just as well.
I'm also trying to think of like narrative stuff with a real stuff that hews more like in the kind of close to like the walking simulator direction as opposed to the
a lot of puzzle games are like that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's been one. I mean, maybe try out some of the Telltale stuff and see how you feel about it.
Yeah, try the Telltale stuff. The Life is Strange ones.
Life is Strange, that's a good one.
Those are the ones that people are really like have a lot of dense story, but they don't take a lot of work, luckily.
Maybe like After Party or Oxenfree or something like that.
Like it's like ease yourself back into the idea of love of games kind of thing again.
Yeah, because
see how it goes.
Because this list of games that you have here are like long ass hardcore video games.
They're all, like we just talked about how we don't want to play The Witcher because it's so goddamn long, and you just mentioned that I got frustrated about it. Like, yeah, of course you did. Like, sometimes it can be overwhelming too, the amount of choice you have.
Maybe that the Uncharted spin-off game that was a little bit shorter with Chloe and Nadine.
Hell, even the original Uncharted's aren't that long.
Yeah, and I think those are free on PS Plus right now.
Yes, right now they're free for PlayStation
Collection
Plus, as well as Goat Simulator. I don't know. It's just okay. It's the other thing on there. Be excited about it, I guess. I don't
know. Yeah. So maybe give it a shot. I tell you what. Use this website. There's a website called howlongtobeat.com, and I use it all the time. And it's basically like people can submit the amount of time that they spent playing a game.
Yeah.
And it has 3 scores. It has like the all I did was story plus extras, and then completionist. And so I feel like depending on how you play, it's probably going to sit somewhere between. I don't know a lot of people who just like in a game that has side quests, they're just like, fuck that, just the mainline quest, and then I'm donezo, and I don't even give a fuck. That you're probably going to do some of it. So a lot of times it's between those first 2 scores. But go and check that out and look at some of the stuff. Look, I'm not trying to be a parody of myself here, Michael.
Okay.
But you know what might be another game to think about is Hitman. because Hitman, you could resolve Hitman, you can resolve a mission in Hitman within an hour, right? You can beat an entire mission of Hitman in 20 minutes to 5 minutes if you're like me and super good at it. But the thing is,
just run in there, murder and run.
The Hitman structure is each level is meant to be played multiple times, so you can have a sense of you're actually progressing by just like going through it one time, and then when you replay it, you're doing different things. So and then every level in Hitman 2 has like 3 story scenarios that they want you to play. So you can usually do 2 of those in one run, but then you have to go back at least one more time to do another one. But you're going to make forward progress. Like, if you want to beat Hitman, you can just go do everything the game tells you to and beat both 1 and 2 in probably 10 to 12 hours. But then there's a lot of opportunity to go back. Don't play Dark Souls. Just don't do that. Just don't do it. Let's see. Brandon writes in and says, hello, Ultimate Grandmaster of Rage, Jeff, and loyal disciple co-host Michael. I don't write these things.
Yeah, don't even. I didn't say nothing.
I genuflect at the altar of Rage and ask you a question for this podcast. Lately, I've been debating whether or not to invest in a dedicated gaming PC. Just one question. I have no idea what I'm looking at when I read the technical specs of all the various options I could buy. I have a friend who recommended I just build one from scratch, but I know even less about how to do that. So my question is, how do I know what to look for when I'm looking at gaming computers? I prefer to play strategy games, both real-time and turn-based, and role-playing games. Don't know if that helps, but thanks for reading my question anyway. Hope your 2020 is infinitely better than 2019, and keep on raging, Brandon! Well, first off, let's just start here by saying, Brandon, real-time and turn-based strategy games and RPGs, you do not need
the most amazing.
You do not need a cutting-edge PC to play. I mean, like maybe if you're into like the Total War series or some of those that get really like dense with a bunch of people on screen.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say nah.
I get what he means though, because I have considered the idea of PC for gaming once or twice in the past, but I always give up the second I look at its specs, and I'm just like, no, I'm good. I don't understand any of this. But I've always seen surprising help from people are willing to do on like forums and stuff. People love getting people in the PC gaming. My coworkers at work are really good about that too. Actually, like honestly, just ask as many PC gamers that you know. At least this is my opinion, just to see if maybe they might help you out, because they're fucking excited as hell to help somebody build something all the time.
Yeah, you probably find yourself a subreddit that'll do it pretty well. So my game PC, which is woefully out of date, but that's not any of. I mean, that's just because I haven't upgraded it in years. I bought from this company called Digital Storm. So if you do want to build your own, which, as Michael said, it's also kind of cool because it's not really super difficult to build a PC. I will say, though, while I have built laptop PCs for other people, and I used to work in laptop repair and like server support, and like I know what's on the inside of a computer, while all of those things, I'm like a fucking genius at that shit. Like I can fix your shit. I can fix it. I've never built a PC for myself that didn't involve at least 2 more trips to the store for things, because I built it and everything's fine, but this floppy drive was bad and it's causing a fault in the BIOS that won't let the system boot up, type of thing. But if you're looking for specs, what you might do is go to somebody's website like Alienware. But Alienware is so top of the line, like maybe Dell or Digital Storm, and like pick one of their systems and then just look at what the specs up for it are. To be honest, you're not going to need like a super. I mean, like, okay, are the i9s out yet? Or
I don't fucking know. I'm the last person to ask that question.
Here, let me see if
you asked me if the new Spider-Man came out. I'll tell you that.
Here, let me just I'll do it off of Amazon. So
it did, by the way.
So the Intel processors tend to go, yep, they're out. Tend to go i3, i5, i7, i9 in speed. i7 used to be the best. i9s came out probably, I think, last year sometime. I don't know if you need much more than an i5 if you're doing that. A lot of it's going to depend on your graphics card. Okay, here's what maybe I would say. Go to Alienware's website, look at what they're offering for a PC, and then take every one of those and like bump it down by 2 notches. So if they've got a Core i9, get a Core i5. If they've got a Radeon or if they've got a GTX, I don't even know what the current NVIDIA cards are. Like get a 800 series instead of a 900 series. You know, they've got solids, you know, this super memory, get the regular memory.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, if you are looking to get a gaming desktop, you might actually consider going to a place like that website that I was talking about, or Dell, and just buy one. I mean, building your own PC, that could be a fun thing.
Yeah.
But if all you really want is the ability to play video games, well, maybe just buy one, right? You're going to maybe pay $200 or $300 more, and that's a lot, but you also probably get a warranty. You won't really know what's going on, but like, man,
you can also customize it too. Is the thing about PCs?
Yeah,
like you can buy a PC, and then if you're like, oh, I just feel like this graphics card isn't what I need, and then just buy another graphics card. That's the great thing about PCs.
Or maybe just go to Best Buy and look at like what's expensive, and then just like write down the specs.
Yeah, just go from there. Yeah,
and then just take it from there and
like go for a good starting point, and then ask around people to see what they say.
Yeah,
and then they'll point you in the right direction. To be honest, so there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, there's subreddits like crazy. If you're just like, hey, I'm looking into making a gaming PC, they'll ask you, you know, what's your price range? What are you looking into playing?
Yeah.
Are you really into like, are you going to be using Steam for your stuff? Like they ask these very intricate questions, and they'll just pop out this like whole thing that's just like, oh, this makes sense kind of thing.
Just be aware ahead of time that I feel like most of the PC gaming enthusiasts that I've talked to, they will, in some strange way, be, even if they don't have a financial stake in the game, will be upselling you.
Oh, they absolutely will.
Like, okay, like I know that you said you wanted a GTX 9 series, but what you really need is the 2070s that are out right now. Like, you really need to spend $700 on a graphics card. It's like, you don't need to spend $700 on a graphics card.
Yeah, listen to like the highest they say, and then go down. Yeah, basically, it's really like, at least especially if it looks like it's too expensive for you.
Yeah, for what you are talking about, you do not need a cutting-edge, state-of-the-art
unless you're
system.
playing Crysis with Back to the Future mods. You don't really need any of these things.
Crysis.
Yeah, there's this great Back to the Future mod for Crysis that I saw that's really cool. It makes the ice appear and everything. It's really cool.
Okay. Let's see. Let's do some Discord questions. Persian King says, Jeff and Michael, what, if any, film sequel do you find yourself bizarrely fascinated by for any reason? Despite the fact that the Pirates of the Caribbean sequel shouldn't even exist, even though I've grown quite fond of all but the 5th one, I find myself kind of fascinated by Stranger Tides, the 4th film directed by Shane Black, probably in part because the Deadwood TV series grew on me more, has made me grow more appreciative of Ian McShane as an actor, who was the guy that played Blackbeard in the thing. Thanks, and that's from Persian King. Any sequels that you are strangely fascinated by for some weird reason?
I don't know if it's strangely fascinated by it, but I'm always fascinated by Ghostbusters 2. Because the thing about Ghostbusters 2 is every now and then I will hear something about Ghostbusters 2 that goes, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because for some reason, Ghostbusters 2, according to Bill Murray, was a completely different film originally when he signed on to it. And there's a lot of like deleted stuff that was never used, and some stuff that appears only in comics, and some stuff that only appears in like maybe an old script kind of thing.
Yeah,
like he made a joke where like when he was interviewed years ago, they're like, it's like, oh, we wouldn't call it Ghostbusters 2. That's stupid. And then they call it Ghostbusters 2 kind of thing. And I would love to know the full story of what happened with that movie, because every time I hear something more about it, the more I'm just like, I really want to know the full picture of this thing, kind of thing. Another one that fascinates me is every time DC makes another sequel to something, at least recently, because it's a lot of hodgepodge of just people trying to figure out what might be popular, or what's probably a good idea, or what they think is a good idea.
You talking about in the comics, or
no? I mean like the movies they've made, like like Justice League,
right?
Batman v Superman, those kinds of things. Like I hate a lot of those movies, but I'm fascinated on what decisions got them here.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Like I would constantly read like, you know, backstory stuff like that. And Zack Snyder makes Justice League even more interesting because he's consistently going, the Snyder cut, guys. This is the thing I wanted to do, kind of thing. And then everyone comes in their pants asking for the Snyder cut. But I'm fascinated by that because it's just like, It's like, what got us to this point, kind of thing.
You know what I think is fascinating about those movies is that Batman versus Superman and Justice League are bad movies, right? But they have good sequels that are in the same continuity.
Right?
Aquaman exists in the continuity of Justice League. So it's like they didn't throw it away, and then like Wonder Woman exists in the continuity of the Justice League. So like technically speaking, that stuff happened with Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
And they had it all set up for Darkseid, and then it was just like, JK, let's just go over here and do this. Like, don't forget about all that. Forget about it.
Shazam's a great example of like, I'm fascinated by this, is because Shazam is such a different thing.
Yeah.
But everything is said in it going, hey, Batman v Superman and Justice League and shit happen in this universe.
Yeah.
Like there's Batarangs and Superman dolls and Batman dolls and like this kid's obsessed with all of them kind of thing. All that weird fucked up shit totally happens though.
Yep.
Even this story about a 10-year-old, or not a 10-year-old, like but this 14-year-old gaining superpowers is just like, what the fuck? it's a weird world.
Like Henry Cavill's Superman exists in the world that Shazam exists in.
Henry Cavill Superman snapped a dude's neck in the universe about the superhero who flossed kind of thing. Yeah. Like this is a thing.
Jimmy Olsen got his head blown off in this universe. Yeah. And then don't even get me started about like if you try to start to bend your brain about like where does Joker fit? It doesn't.
If it's not supposed to, that we know of.
But yeah,
we have no idea. Like they keep fucking with us constantly.
Yeah. So that is fascinating because it's so weird how Warner Brothers and DC have just been they fucked up so hard. I mean, like Suicide Squad exists in the world
that's
of
right
Shazam.
too. Yeah,
like because it's in Birds of Prey. So the Harlequin and the Birds of Prey and the Redemption of Harley Quinn or whatever is in the same universe where Jason Momoa took back the throne from his brother in Aquaman, and there was a Wonder Woman in the 80s. But then we go back to Batman versus Superman, and they're just like, oh my God, are there other meta people in this world? And then it's like, as they go forward, it's like, well, of course, they've been here forever, and they're all doing stuff. And like, what?
It's like, because the MCU all makes sense together. Every single time you see a guy, well, that makes sense that this exists with that. But you watch Batman v Superman and Shazam, you're like, how are these the same?
Like, you know how Lex Luthor had all the files on all the super people?
And he made symbols for them all?
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. What about the guy what about the guy in the Suicide Squad that's like the fire mancer? That's like a pyromancer. Like, he had legit fucking superpowers. El Diablo.
Yeah, and then there's Killer Croc's there.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Slipknot's head explodes.
But like, Deadshot and Harley Quinn and them, they don't have, like, powers, right?
No,
but, Croc and what's-her-face, whose husband's in her sword.
Katana?
Yeah, Katana. Like, they have powers.
Yeah.
Like, they're metahumans. And then it's so weird to think about them all in the same universe where you're just like, boy, 5 years ago really sucked at you guys' world, and then it was just like everybody's like, oh, thank God Doomsday's dead. Now I'll go back to having fun.
No, we all be like super fun times. It's like, yeah, but there's a lot of fucked up shit happening. Well, don't worry about it.
Yeah. The one that's fascinating to me, I've been continuously fascinated, and I really have no idea how it ever happened, is that I don't remember what it's called. It's that one-off Warren Ellis G.I. Joe movie that was like super serious. It was called like G.I. Joe. It was like an animated movie.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like Redemption or
it's
something like that.
It's the one where what's his name dies, the football player dude. I forgot his name, but yeah, there's a point where I remember like they lift up the.
Is it Retaliation? No, that was one of the live action ones.
That's the live action one. No, it was I remember, but it had this amazing like fight between Snake Eyes.
Yeah,
and Storm Shadow.
Resolute.
That's right. They showed it on Adult Swim, and it was fucking amazing.
And like, how?
Yeah.
Did this ever happen? And
like, how did it get greenlit? Is part of what I always think of.
Yeah, and then also, I feel like not a lot of people know what the fuck it is,
which is crazy. I remember the first time they aired it because they aired it in chunks for some reason.
Yeah,
like it wasn't all at once. Like every now and then there would be another like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
I think I saw it all when it's plastered together as one.
Okay,
movie.
yeah, because I remember Adult Swim for some reason was like, we're showing this G.I. Joe thing, and it would happen in between certain things. And I remember watching the Storm Shadow Snake Eyes thing going, what the fuck? This thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Because people are like, G.I. Joes are like dying left and right kind of thing. Because, yeah, there's that one football character or whatever, like they pull over this like thing. It's like, he was poisoned or some shit. And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
You're like, there's some serious fucked up shit going on in this world.
Well, what's funny is that G.I. Joe Resolute makes the movies look like garbage.
It
like
does.
Just super garbage. I mean, they were already super garbage.
Oh, yeah,
but
they were.
You're just
especially
like,
the first
dude,
one.
can we get some more of these and
Yeah.
like less of those? They seem to cost like an eighth of the budget to make. Can we just get some of these? I'll buy them on
It was
Blu-ray.
so fascinating to me.
Like
that even came to be.
And then there's some other stuff. Like I was thinking we played Terminator Resistance this week on the dojo, and that's kind of fascinating. Is like, how the fuck did this weird like first-person shooter / RPG semi-open world?
Yeah, I was watching that before I came here, and I'm like, wait, there's other mechanics other than shooting. What is this game?
What the fuck is
like
this?
a Fallout-ish kind of idea, but with Terminators? That's weird.
And then that got me thinking about like, who's been making decisions about Terminator for the last like 2 decades, right?
There's like an old PS2 game that there was a lot of.
No,
games
I'm talking about the movies.
No, I'm just talking about like I'm thinking of everything.
Yeah,
like Terminator just has gotten some weird fucking decisions made with it. Like
it's kind of like Predator,
the
where you're
TV
like,
show stuff.
Who is doing this? Yeah, the Sarah Connor Chronicles was great, and then they just like axed it in the middle. And then I don't know anybody who saw the new one, the Dark Fate. And it's like, I feel like it's this thing where we all remember being excited by Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And so every so often they're just like, Terminator.
Nah.
And we're just all like, I guess.
Sure, I guess.
I mean, 3 wasn't the worst. Salvation wasn't completely unwatchable. Genesis was kind of unwatchable.
It's pretty damn unwatchable. Yeah, Dark Fate I heard was meh. Yeah. I have another answer that I remembered because it is the ultimate answer and the one that I'm obsessed with probably the most.
Yeah.
Which is Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Of course you do. Of course
I am strangely
Of course you
obsessed with Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Because I was, for some reason as a kid, it was my favorite.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I realized, this movie's garbage. But I am fascinated by the entire existence of Superman 4. Because the backstory of Superman 4 is batshit insane.
Yeah.
And there's a sequence that makes me laugh every time that I show everybody, which is the part where he rebuilds the Great Wall of China by staring at it. And the look on Christopher Reeve's face right after that, it looks like the face of a man who's been defeated. Who's just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life kind of thing. It's God. And like, if you guys ever get a chance, look up the backstory to the production of Superman 4. Because that shit makes no sense.
Let's see. Kate Josie says, Dear Jeff and Michael, I bought Hitman 2 on sale a couple weeks ago. It's so much fun. Murder Playground. The interesting thing is I just finished the first Expanse book, and I just restarted the second Witcher book. Josie, you're all over the place on this one. I want to read more than play video games at this point. The Expanse and Witcher have been taking up more time than Agent 47. This is probably the first time where I wanted to read rather than watch TV or play a game. Have you experienced a moment where you wanted to do a thing your previous self never would have wanted to do for leisure? Your loyal patron, Kate Josie. I mean, I waffle between those things. So, like, sometimes I'll be watching whenever we finish a recording or whenever I'm done for the day at Rage Select, I'll kick back and watch a movie and usually drink some beers. Sometimes, and then in between beers, when I run out of beer, I'll go downstairs to get another one, and then I'll go outside and smoke, and I'll read my book. And then there have been a few times when the book gets really good where I come up and I just don't unpause the movie. I just keep reading the book and sitting there. I used to take my book to the bar when I could afford to do that and just sit at the bar and read a book. So there have been long stretches of books, games, movies. I'm trying to think of something. I would never... I'll tell you what, Michael, if you got at me 2.5 years ago, all this cooking nonsense wasn't here.
Absolutely.
None of it was here.
I remember one of the first times I met you, you had your fridge literally had a Domino's pizza in there that was there for like 3 months or something like that.
Yep.
And I remember I was just like, "Do you have food here at all?" You're like, "No, not really."
Nope.
Like, the fridge is just things I brought home and then probably forgot about, kind of, or from like gyms or something, kind of thing.
Yep.
And, like, your fridge was empty at all times, basically.
Oh, there's a whole cabinet that's full of spices that weren't there at all 3 years ago.
You were adamant that you were never going to have actual things in your fridge, basically, for a long time, by the way.
Well, it was, I didn't cook, and so you put something in the fridge, and it died.
Yeah.
And then you had to clean it out 6 months later, and I was like, well, why even bother? Like, just throw it away to begin with. I used to have a big problem with eating leftovers too. Before, one of the things about cooking was that I feel like you learn more about food preservation, food safety, how to tell when food has gone bad, and then like what like it used to be that like I put the milk in my coffee that I have right here when we're recording, and I used to have a thing where I would buy milk. And then, like 3 days later, I'd open it up and I'd smell it because you'd be like, "Well, that's what people do is they smell milk." I'd be like, "I don't know, it smells a little weird." I got news for you. Milk just smells weird.
Yeah, that's just milk.
Like, if it's bad, you'll know.
You'll know absolutely. If it's
Your
bad.
monkey senses will be like, danger, danger. Do not consume this.
They're
chunks. Like, oh, no. But yeah, I cooking is definitely a thing that's probably the newest thing in my life. Because outside of that, all I really do is watch movies, play video games, read books, drink, record Rage Select. So
I find myself wanting to build things, but I don't have ways of doing those.
Like a movement, like a religion.
No, like that. Because my because a while back I told you that story where I went to the Home Depot or whatever to get the new shower head. I kept looking at tools and stuff and thinking of all the cool shit I could build.
Yep.
Kind of thing, and I'm like, I really want to just build something. Like it's the gag where it's like when you get older, you're gonna be that dad's like, I'm gonna build the deck kind of thing. Yep. But that was literally my thought process. Like, I bet you could build a deck, build a really good deck kind of thing.
Unfortunately, you live in an apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have nowhere to work and nowhere to build a deck.
So yeah, exactly. It's like it's the thought process I guess I must have inherited from my dad and his dad before him, which is, hey, eventually you're gonna hit a certain age, and you're gonna be like, I could totally build something.
Yep.
And I want to be honest. Like, it's something I would love to do. I'd love to learn how to build a table or something, or a chair kind of thing. But I don't have the space to try something like that, or nor the money for that matter, kind of thing. But it's one of those things that I feel like I will, if I ever find myself in a place like financially or just an area, I could probably see myself doing for relaxing, to be honest.
You might take a carpentry class, and then like you could go somewhere where they have the tools and the stuff, and then they're also doing instruction at the same time. So yeah. I don't know.
I have to look into that, to be honest.
I also this week, over the last couple weeks since I got back from my vacation, I've very much been trying to distance myself from current events, internets, and podcasts and stuff.
That's a good idea.
I'm just like, So instead of following current events, I've been listening to Slow Burn Season 2, which is all a chronological retelling of the impeachment of Bill Clinton. So,
okay.
That's
kind of cool.
And then I listened to another one called Sick that was about this fertility guy in some place in the 70s who was doing artificial insemination on women. And it turns out that he used his own
I heard about that guy.
junk. And so there's like, at this point, and then once like all the genealogy stuff started coming out, people were just like, how are we related? How are we related? How are we related? And he was like, yeah, I did it a few times maybe. And then they're like, there's 60 half siblings out there. And there was one guy who was like an actual medical doctor, or no, he was in some medical field who was just like, I am worried about incest, right? Because this is the same town, and there are just like 60 confirmed people in this town that are related to each other. So like if your kids meet, they could be like a quarter related to each other, and like you're gonna have to be like, oh man, I'm really into you. Let's take some DNA tests.
That's a tough thing, apparently, in small towns, I guess. Question mark. I don't know. I don't know enough about it now.
Was it like in Iceland or Greenland or something
like that?
There's like a thing where there's an app where you can just type in someone's name, and there's like literally genealogy records because there's not as much influx of outside bloodlines. So you could be like, arewelated.com, and you type in your names, and you're like, yes, you are. And you're like, well,
I died in Alabama, though, unfortunately.
See ya. Let's see. Let's knock out a couple more here. We're just about done. I'm also really paranoid, guys, because I've got a delivery coming, and I'm waiting for it to happen and me not be able to see it.
That's secret code for murder.
Yes. I hired a hitman to kill Michael, and I'm distracting him with this podcast. Let's take some more questions. Professor Fett says, hey, Jeff and Michael, I'm switching career paths from office work to being a deputy sheriff. I'm fairly nervous. Do you have any advice for beating new job jitters? Weed. Smoke a lot of weed.
just in front of your boss at all times. Just stare him down with a vape pen full of weed.
No, don't do that.
And just be like, hey, it's not actually smoking or whatever. It doesn't count.
I feel like for some people that would calm them down. For other people, it would just be the exact opposite.
No, it would just make them paranoid, probably. That's a tough one because that's a whole career. That's an entire different path.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the only real thing I could say is take it slow. Is really what it comes down to.
Yep.
Make sure that don't go too gung ho in a new career because you don't want to be you don't want to look like a super overachiever and then slow down and then be like, well, why isn't he still a super overachiever kind of thing? And you don't want to be. No, that's the thing that comes up.
It's just all my brain is doing is translating your advice into that whole thing about when your partner is on the take and he's just like, you don't want to be a super overachiever. So when your partner offers you the bribe after the bust, you got to take it because if you don't, then they're gonna fucking kill you, man.
Yes, that's how that works. Yes, if somebody gives you a really nice jacket, just take the jacket.
Just Mortytown. I think that one of the things about a job, the way I've gotten over new job jitters is if you think you can do it, then you can. There's no way to tamp down the nervousness because that's just a weird thing inside your brain.
That's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, is that you just kind of have to get used to it. So you've got to maybe if I don't know if police. I don't know how much the stereotypes are, Michael. If everybody's drinking coffee all day, maybe have yourself a nice smoothie instead.
Yeah, have a nice tea or something.
Or like a decaf mochaccino,
steal some cocaine from the evidence room, that kind of thing. Right. That'll wake you up much faster.
And then you got to smoke the weed to even it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
and they'll never know.
No, I'd say try to keep your mind on doing things a little bit at a time. And one of the things that I was listening to, the Cracked podcast, they still have the Jason Pargin on from time to time. He had a really good podcast about celebrate your wins.
Yeah.
Take the time to stop and be like, I did it. I got through my first week. Huzzah! And you don't have to make a big production out of it, but take a minute and celebrate the fact that you did a thing instead of just kept getting swept up. Give yourself credit for doing a thing. Other than that, I mean, I don't really know anything outside of you just got to work it off. You just got to keep doing it. Realize that the first day jitters can't last forever and that after 2 weeks, you're probably going to be way less than you were before. Of course, I don't know because that's a different type of job than any job I've ever had. So,
well, it's just like I said, I think it still just comes down to taking it slow because there's a lot of people who will change. They'll change their fields from something that's fairly laid back to something that might be considered a little more physical kind of thing. It's basically going from any office job to anything that involves going outside at some point, like construction work.
Yeah,
like you said, sheriff deputy, border patrol, that kind of thing. But just take it slow. Listen to as much as you can from the people around you. Take the advice that you know will work for you. Use that advice to the best of your ability, or take the advice that you know doesn't work, but maybe tweak it to maybe work for you, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Really, just what it comes down to. Just rely on the others to assist you as best as you can, and then go from there. Is really my advice.
And send me one of those get out of jail free cards. I know that those exist in the real world, and I'm going to need one at some point.
With all the cocaine that he's taking.
Bitch, I can't afford cocaine. What am I made? I got to buy video games. I cannot afford drugs.
That's all sugar. That's all it is. It's just sugar.
Just doing lines of sugar. Septum Sin says, Dear Rage Lords, I'm working to beat Death Stranding with about an hour or two a week in playtime.
Oh, jeez.
Do you have any tips to help me get through the game more quickly? Your patron, Septum Sin versus the world.
Zip lines.
Zip lines, vehicles, and don't ever do a side quest.
Yeah, if you want to just beat the story, don't do the side quests.
Which,
at all.
The side quests can make the story easier, but I didn't do that many of them, and I didn't have a problem at all.
Yeah.
Michael and I have talked about this a while. I personally think that Death Stranding's a little too easy. There's a few hard parts, but I never got to a point where like there was never like a Dark Souls style boss where I couldn't get past this boss, you know.
I never died on a boss. The closest thing to an up and difficulty is just the mountain.
Yeah.
When you hit the mountain section, you're just like, oh, fuck this.
And there are 2 times in the game where they make you carry... For the most part, what you're carrying is fine. There are 2 times in the game where they make you carry, and this is not a spoiler, this is a vague thing, shitty, fragile, dangerous cargo that you have to carry by hand.
Either carry by hand or you just walk little by little.
Yes. But for the most part, I would say just plug away at it and don't bother with side quests.
Yeah. No, it's a good
you know, sometimes you can get going in a direction where like in the beginning of the second part of the game, building the highways can make things easier, but that takes a long ass time. And generally speaking, going back and forth, like around the same place where you get the highways, pretty close after that, you might be getting zip lines. Just use zip lines.
Use so many of them, guys.
So use the maximum number of zip lines and set them up in a grid, and then you just go between all the places. Zip, 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 zip.
That's really good, guys.
Yep.
It's the best.
Yep. Let's see. Let's do maybe 1 more. No, maybe 2 more. Let's see what I got here. Marcus writes in and says, "Hello, Jeff and Michael. Recently I completed the PS4 game Indivisible and admired the game's narrative by having the hero go through a subverted hero's journey that contains significant mistakes the hero makes. These mistakes result in the death of thousands of people, something that she causes and has to atone for to complete the hero's journey and beat the main foe. What are 1 to 3 games that you admired or did not admire for the way they subverted the hero's journey and why? As always, keep up the great work. Love content. You're one of the best video game podcasts of the decade for me. In Doncley's game, Marcus. Not Michael. That's Michael. That's Marcus. P.S. Playing the Outer Worlds. So much fun. OMG. So, games that subverted the hero's journey in an interesting way.
I will always bring up Spec Ops. Spec Ops The Line.
Absolutely.
100% is my answer for that anytime. Because at that point, shooters were very much gung-ho about, like, you're the hero at all times kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Spec Ops was just the ultimate, like, no, look at what you've done.
Yeah. You know, it's an interesting thing. I'm such a fucking cliche. Okay. So the problem that I have is that whenever a question comes into Rage Select, the first thing that I do is start thinking, like, what games fit into that category? And usually it's one of the about dozen games that I talk about all the fucking time.
No, absolutely.
So, like, the one that comes to mind is how at the end of Metal Gear Solid, like, Liquid Snake is chiding you for like killing all of these, because the genome soldiers are like clones.
Well, they're people who were basically, their DNA was somewhat infused with like Big Boss DNA.
Oh, right. Okay.
That was causing like some weird sort of breakdown here and there kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is why he wanted his body to maybe cure them in some way or something.
Sure.
Something like that. If I remember correctly, that's
Fox dies in there
what
somewhere.
Liquid wanted. But Liquid was very much just like, you murdered those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And you liked that shit.
Yeah.
And you loved that. Like, I was just looking at those cameras and you had just giant fucking grid the entire time. And Snake's like, that's not true. And then you think back to you actually doing that. You're like, no, that kind of was what was going on. Yeah.
Or once you realize in MGS3, I don't even think I realized it until I read an article about it, the river, right?
Yeah, the river is a perfect example of that.
That, you know, because I remember doing a pacifist run of MGS3 and then just walking down that river, and you got to kill the bosses. The bosses die.
The bosses just die. Yeah. You'll see them through that river in general.
Which I was like, bitch, I'm not the one who screamed the fear and then exploded into a darts, okay? I shot you with tranquilizer darts. You did that shit.
I always laugh because every run of Metal Gear Solid 3 I had, that river was just fucking like there was no water.
Wall to wall.
It was just fucking ghosts.
Yeah.
And I remember what happened when I did was I hid the gun for because you don't have your guns right away in the river, but if you do this, you can get your gun just before you jump off the water. So you have a machine gun.
Okay.
While you're in the river, and you can just shoot the ghosts all over again.
Sure.
They don't die, but they scream horrible pain. And I just did that the entire way. Because I was just like, fuck you guys. I hate all of you people. And I'll murder you again.
Yeah. Let's see. Again, I'm a parody of myself. All right. These are my answers, and I'm a parody of myself. I think it's really fascinating the way that Agent 47 does not have a hero's journey.
No.
And he mostly just spends his time killing people, and yet the people that you kill are bad. And so that's kind of a weird subversion of it, where you're like, I'm dropping pianos on drug cartel guys. And it's like, okay. Well, I do think that Doom also does that a little bit. The fact that the Doom Marine, like the robot guy is just like, let's work together, and he's just like, fuck you, fuck you.
It's a great one because he's like, okay, all you have to do is listen to what I say, and he just moves it out of the way. He's like, nope. And I think Medieval, like I love Medieval because I think it's also a pretty good kind of parody of the idea of the hero's journey. Yeah, because the hero's journey is always like, well, the plucky guy defeated the villain and he saved the day and everybody loves him, kind of thing. Well, the story is like, well, that's not what happened. The dude got shot in the face within like the first minute. Yeah, and the actual story of the game is like, well, he now has to. It becomes an accidental hero journey where he's actually reproving himself, and I actually really like that a lot because you talk to every hero that's in the Hall of Heroes whenever you get one of the chalices, and a lot of times they just talk shit about you. Yeah. When you get in there, they're just like, oh, Fortescue, you dumb motherfucker. Like, it's like, I thought, it's like, what are you doing here? Like, that's stupid. Like, I always just assumed you're a goddamn coward kind of thing. Like, they just talk shit about him the whole time, and I thought that was a lot of fun because it's just like, dude, I'm trying. Like, stop being a dick about this kind of thing.
I'm just trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I don't know. There's some out there. A lot of the stuff that comes to mind is just the stuff that I always talk about.
What was the name of that one where was it Braid? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
The ending? Yeah, that one?
Yeah, Braid was definitely one of them as well.
It was definitely one of those ones that I think was a good twist at the end. Yeah. Kind of thing.
I haven't heard about it, but I think, Undertale might fall into that category?
No, actually, Undertale's a perfect example of that because it's because the whole hero journey, like, because RPGs are like, you go in, you murder everything, and then you save the day kind of thing. Yeah. Undertale is very much like, the thing about Undertale is if no one told you anything about the way Undertale works, and you played it like a normal RPG, that's why that one works the most.
You're like history's greatest monster.
Yeah, because by the time you get to the end, it's like, dude, you didn't have to murder any of those fucking people kind of thing. Yeah. But I knew the whole thing, so I didn't do that the first time kind of thing. Yeah. And it's great about that.
Let's do one more. Let's see. We've got I Hate Everyone So Shut Up says, hey, Jeff and Michael, how would you feel if there was a robot apocalypse and the Terminators were the cats from the play/film Cats? Jellicle Terminators. In part 2 of Terminator Resistance, or whatever that game was called, Matt tried to talk to me about cats. I do not give two fucks about cats. I don't want to hate watch it. I don't want to love watch it. I don't care. And so if the Terminators were all dressed up like cats, I don't care. I don't care. It'd be like, look, there's something stupid has come to kill me. It's stupid. It's a stupid thing.
There was a photo that Bo posted on his Facebook not that long ago where he took Ray. They took Ray and they put, instead of her head, it was the head of one of the cats from Cats, and everyone was like, "Why would you do this to? Why would you do this to me?"
I don't understand why any human being would have any interest whatsoever in that dumb. I didn't care when it was the poem or a Broadway musical.
When I went to New Year's at Corey's, there's a guy named Patrick Gertz that was on Double Toasted. Yeah, that dude watched Cats like 4 times in theaters, and he would not shut the fuck up about Cats the entire time we were there. He almost convinced me to watch Cats. By the way, he was this close to convincing me until I realized what he was doing. No, and I was like, no, get that shit out of my face.
No, I don't want to watch it. I'd rather watch Rise of Skywalker like 8 times in a row.
It's no longer in theaters, likely, so we don't have to worry about that for a while.
It's just, I don't care. It doesn't. Nothing. There's nothing. No emotions. Like one of the few times where I've agreed with a comment on Rage Select Michael was when the first Cats trailer came out and everybody was talking about it. I put it in the thumbnail for the Rage Select podcast, and I was like, so this trailer for Cats came out. I don't know anything about cats, and I don't care about cats, and this trailer looks stupid. In other news, Nintendo did a thing, and somebody in the comments was like, you know, if you didn't have any opinion about cats, maybe you shouldn't have talked about it. You picked something else for the thumbnail. And I was like, You are right.
100% right.
I should not talk about that movie because I do not give a fuck. I don't care if it looks good. I don't care if it looks bad. I think it's almost like I look at it and like static just comes up in my vision. I don't care.
I just think it looked like some sort of batshit insane idea.
So I guess if that happened, it would be less horrifying than Terminators because it'd just be like...
I don't think that's true because one of those Terminators is played by... Or not Terminators. You see, you got me saying Terminators. One of those cats is played by that fat British guy.
Yeah.
That guy's not great.
That's
just more horrifying to me.
Oh, look, I'm going to get killed in the most ridiculous way possible. Fine. Like, if this is how it ends, then we deserve to die because that means
true.
We let Skynet see cats. Somebody put cats on the internet, and Skynet saw it and then was like, that is the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. And then stop making Schwarzeneggers, start making cats. and then all the cats came out, and they started killing us. And there was, like, the hunter killers that just had, like, a big human face with whiskers and big ears. It's, like, pasted on the front of them, and there's those big ones with the treads. It's just like a big furry tread machine. And I was like,
just shoots out.
This is it. This is how it ends. And great, sure, that's fine. I'm done. Speaking of being done, I'm done with this podcast. Michael, where can people see you when you're not over here at Rage Science?
You can find me at oneofus.net. We just did a review for Underwater.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What about Cats?
I tried to get on the screening for Cats.
Why?
But he had too many people volunteer to do Cats, so I didn't get to do it.
Nope.
I wanted to see the insanity. That was Cats.
Nope. That's it. Nope. We're done. We're done here. We're done.